our full board meeting officially to order. It is approximately 6:44 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Angel Muscane, our district manager, assistant district manager Khalid Nixon, community associate Marlene Pierre. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. 1, no one may speak until granted the floor. 2, CB11 members, if you have questions about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, if you happen to be there or a participant, you can go to the participants icon and you can find the raise hand function here. If you have technical difficulty, click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Everyone else here in the room, please raise your hand. 3, members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. 4, the chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Chat should only be used to alert the staff or the executive team of any issues. Your email, your phone number, please state them aloud before placing them in the chat as well. 5, when a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself to speak. 6, please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have questions or comments about a subject on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized during the public session. With that, we will now take attendance by roll call.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please listen to your names. I will call you twice. Jose Altamirano. Jose Altamirano. Thank you. Fernando Alvarez. Fernando Alvarez. Absent. Marcel Bondima. Marcel Bondima. Absent. Adem Brija. Thank you. Marie Charles. Marie Charles. Absent. Leslie Colon. Thank you. Kenneth Kraut. Thank you. Carlos Diaz. Thank you. Rosa Diaz is myself. Jessica Elliott. Thank you. David Giordano. Thank you. Ada Gazzari. Thank you. James Gray. Thank you. John Green.
Here.
Thank you. Chancellor Greg. Chancellor Greg. Absent. Pascal Hanou. Thank you. Wanda Hopkins.
Present.
Thank you. Kioka Jackson. Thank you. Christina Johnson. Christina Johnson. Absent. Jewel Jones.
Here.
Thank you. James Kempt. Thank you. Sage Mason. Thank you. Malik McCauley. Malik McCauley. Absent. Robin McGinty. Robin McGinty. Absent. Jennifer Mayer. Thank you. Jessica Morris. Thank you. Hayward Moulton. Absent. Nilsa Orama. Thank you. Beverly Pavon. Thank you. Samantha Pedreiro. Thank you. Carlene Percy. Carlene Percy. Absent. Tanya Phelps. Tanya Phelps. Absent. Marina Phillips. Marina Phillips. Thank you. Sorry. Valerie Ponte. Thank you. Asher Rodriguez. Asher.
I was excused.
Thank you. Dawn Sanders.
Here.
Thank you. Xavier Santiago. Thank you. Janelle Satija. Absent. Isaac Scott. Isaac Scott. Absent. Russell Schiller. Russell Schiller. Absent. Loretta So. Thank you. Derek Stampone. Thank you. Vincent Torres. Thank you. Anne-Marie Vasquez. Anne-Marie Vasquez. Absent. Jason Villanueva.
Present.
Thank you. Candy Vives Vasquez. Candy Vives Vasquez. Absent. Nye Whitaker. Thank you. Agatha White. Thank you. Michelle Wilshire Clement.
Present.
Thank you. Jason Wu. Jason Wu. Jason Wu. Okay. Absent. Thank you so much.
We have quorum. Thank you. Great. This evening, the agenda was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there are no objections, we'll adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand to wait to be recognized. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed by committee, by the board office ahead of time. If there are no objections, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Members, please raise your hand if you wish to object or clarify any issues with the minutes. Seeing none, the minutes are officially adopted from our last full board meeting. We'll now move on to our pre-registered speakers who will have 3 minutes each. Again, I reemphasize that one, you must raise your hand to be, you will be called on. If no one may speak until granted the floor. You should also give yourself, it's 3 minutes. We request that you politely observe 2 minutes to speak about what you wish to discuss and reserve a minute for questions. Board members, we ask you that you keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to what is being presented to you. Right. With that, we have first up Nilsa Rama on the land trust. And there's a timer behind me.
That's okay. I'm not gonna talk for 2 minutes. I'm too short for this. Okay. Hi. So I'm here on behalf of the East Harlem El Barrio Community Land Trust, which was, it was founded at least a decade ago, with, Picture the Homeless. And I am currently, I was formerly on their board as their chair. I'm currently on their board as a secretary. The reason I'm here is the Land Trust is looking to expand its board. And I put out descriptions of 3 particular board members that they're looking for. One is a board member that may have fundraising experience. The other one is a legal board member. And the other one is a housing finance board member. The Land Trust currently has 4 buildings. 3 are in East Harlem, 1 is in West Harlem. And the mission of the East Harlem Land Trust is to save the land and affordable housing in perpetuity for our community residents and others who need the land. As you know, it's very hard to find affordable housing. And so this organization is looking to salvage as many buildings as possible. If you are interested, note that on the back of each description, it says, if you wish to apply, please send your resume and a brief statement about why you're interested in joining the board to info@ehebclt.nyc with the title of the description that you are interested in. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Okay, it's on the particular description, but the email for all is info@ehebclt.nyc. And then in the subject line, you will put the title of the one that interested you. Hello, Jessica?
2 questions, Nelson. One, how many members does the board presently have on it? And 2, what is the length of term for the positions that were seeking?
The board currently has, I believe, 5. And the term is 3 years on the board. Okay. Anything else? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilsa. Next, we have Candace Ballard, ITIN agenda. You have your 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Candace Ballard. I've been living in the East Harlem neighborhood for over 40 years. My background is in accounting, do taxes. I noticed with the climate that we're in, the immigrants are suffering the most. I am on the IRS website to help provide ITIN numbers for immigrants. ITIN numbers, let me read. I'm the founder of Ballard Consulting and Solutions based right here in East Harlem. I'm also a certified acceptance agent with the IRS, which means I'm authorized to help individuals apply for and renew ITIN numbers, individual taxpayer identification numbers, especially those without a social security number who need support filing taxes, support immigrant filings, or receive tax credits. I offer in-person and virtual appointments, and I specialize in working with families and communities, universities, schools, and small business owners. I serve clients right here in the neighborhood, and I'm available on Wednesdays, Saturdays. I'll leave a sign-up sheet if anybody wants email to get information, how they can book an appointment. I'm also willing to travel locally. I love to be a trusted resource for the board and our local residents. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. Any questions, Fred?
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes. Benny?
Yes, I do. I'm certified by the IRS to do business taxes as well.
Great. Could you state your email and phone number for us, please?
My email address, I live at 1214, so it's BCFA, Ballard Consultant Finance Associates, 1214, BCFA, 1214 @gmail.com.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have Jessica Morris speaking on the Charter Commission.
Thank you, Nilsa, for lowering the mic to just the right height for all of us women, yeah. So it's all right, yeah, I'll yeah, a little bit. It's good, you can hear me? Good, very good, okay.
Go ahead.
So I won't take all 3 minutes. Same as Nilsa, but I did want to just bring to the board's attention recently within the past couple of weeks. The Charter Revision Commission that launched, I believe in the fall, has been working diligently and released a set of recommendations and proposals that will, I believe, go on the ballot in November. Pardon me, I've got a sore throat from my air conditioner. But so the Charter Revision Commission falls under the purview of the Bylaws Committee. So I'm hoping that our Bylaws Committee, when we reconvene in September, can take up with doing a more thorough kind of overview and understanding of what is proposed, in that there are a number of items that relate to fast track housing applications that would affect the ULURP process and the timeline for which the community has to weigh in on those processes. We'll all get a vote regardless, but I think for the board to be informed about what those changes might be would be a valuable point of information as we move towards November. And then just briefly, I know the Parks Committee fairly recently reviewed an art project around Metropolitan Hospital, and I just wanted to acknowledge that the work is completed and the project is fantastic. So if you haven't driven by on either First Avenue heading uptown or Second Avenue heading downtown, walking, driving, busing, whatever it is, it's pretty excellent across the street. Down the block. It really gives a wonderful representation to that critical community facility. So good job. And that's what I've got. Any questions? There's all of the Charter Revision Commission. You can easily find it if you Google it. I am not prepared to answer any questions about it right now. I haven't done my homework, but I would encourage everybody who has interest to do their homework as well in the next couple of months. All right.
Nye, your question, and then Sage.
For our September or October meeting, so that the community is informed prior to our election, get our revisions to the charge closed around housing.
Thank you for the suggestion, Nye.
Thank you. And if I could ask everyone, if you come up to ask your question, so it's recorded for the YouTube. Sage, did you have a question or no?
Mike?
If you can come to the mic.
This isn't really a question, and you already said that you can't really, answer questions, so that's understandable. But I believe the Charter Revision Commission released a preliminary report. That's the last I heard. They had like their final public meeting, but they did not receive public input last week. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think they've released anything since then. And so the proposals, some of which were mentioned in the preliminary report, are not necessarily what's going to end up on the ballot. It's just like, this is what we're thinking about. I thought it was a little premature to release that report before they had finished hearing from the public. But I did think it was helpful. And I think Angel may have sent their preliminary report around already. So it's available in everybody's emails.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to some of our online pre-registered speakers. We have Lily Lopez from NYC Connects. Lily?
Can you hear me now? Good evening, everyone. My name is Lily Lopez. I am from NY Connect, Center Independence for the Disabled of New York. Tonight, I'm here to inform you about our services. They are free of charge. We assist with housing applications, Medicaid applications, Social Security applications, SNAP applications, as well as we connect people to resources based on their needs. We do not deny nor approve services, but we guide people through the process. And the best thing is that it's free of charge within the 5 boroughs. I don't know if I could give the phone number if anyone has any more questions.
Yes, please.
My direct line is going to be 646-809-1071. Night Connect main line is 844-862-7930, and I will be emailing this information to the general board email.
Thank you. Any
you.
questions? No. Thank you very much, Lily. Next, we have Scan Harbor Parents.
Hello, good day. My name is Jackie Bernard, and I'm here on behalf of the Scan Harbor parents. Boys and Girls Harbor is a facility on 1 East 104th Street, housed in a Heckscher building, and it has been home to performing arts and enrichment, academic enrichment to over 50+ years, serving over 200 children annually. Recently, we got news that we need to evict the building. I want to just let you know that the building has a fully functioning cafeteria, restaurant, a black box theater, dance studios, music space, gymnasium, and a swimming pool. And we need to evict the building because there is not a valid certificate of occupancy. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I just want to make sure I get everything. So as you can imagine, asking the students to leave the building is stripping our youth of their access to arts education, youth mentorship, leadership development, music and cultural programming, mental health, and social emotional support. And so we've come to the committee to ask your support. It is an urgent matter regarding equity in Harlem. We should not be displaced. Our children should have access. And so we are asking you to assist us in halting any eviction from the facility. And I can take questions and or share an email if people need to follow up.
Nilsa.
Say again, I'm sorry.
Nilsa Rama, one of our board members, has a question.
Yes.
Hello, Jackie. In any building, a certificate of occupancy is a required document. Is there any reason why the Heckscher building does not have a certificate of occupancy? And if so, how long has it not had a certificate of occupancy?
And so I'm on the parent committee and we don't have all the details, but we do know that it is not up to date at this current time. And so we're asking community leaders to support us in doing research and again, halting this eviction, because it's not something that the families or the children are able to control, but rather they're going to lose out.
So Jackie, just a quick follow-up. So it's not just Scan Harbor. You're talking about other other organizations that are also in the Herxer building that will be evicted due to the lack of a certificate of occupancy?
So two parts. The certificate of occupancy exists, but it's not been renewed. So that's the part. There are two other organizations in the building. There is SCAN Team Programming. El Museo de Barrio is also in the space, as well as the Parks Department. The only organizations asked to leave is the SCAN Performing Arts and SCAN Team Programming. El Museo gets to stay, as well as Parks Department. So they're able to operate. We're not sure how they get to operate, but we want to make sure we can get support to make sure our children don't have to leave that space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Jose, your question? Can you step up and?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What building is this?
It is the Heckscher Building. It's
Heckscher.
located at 1 East 104th Street. It also houses the Museo de Barrio.
Is that a new building, old building? Because not every building needs a CFO. Some buildings can have a letter of no objection depending on when they were built.
Say
So
that again.
my building has a letter of no objection because it was built in the 20s or so. Unless you're doing like you've had construction or structure. So did it have a CFO? Did it have a no objection? Maybe we can do this offline. But
Yeah.
yeah, because
I
they
can
shouldn't be
have that
evicting you
offline.
over something like that. Not if you're providing this kind of service to the community.
Agreed. Is there a way that I can reach you? Can you share your information?
We'll put information from the board office in the chat real quick and get our comm lines up. Okay.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
Next up is Sarah Worley, East Drive.
Architecture related, like ADA. That's just.
Okay. Sarah Worley. Sarah Worley. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. That concludes our publicly registered speakers. If Sarah Worley comes back on, we will revert back. We'll now move on to our elected officials report. Okay, do we have any elected officials or their representatives who are attending? Okay, we ask that also too, you abide by the 3-minute rule, stating your name, number, and email up front. If you've not already signed up, please do so. We ask that you can give your information in the chat after you said it out loud. We ask that any event service literature be sent to our office that we may post and shared as appropriate. Please keep your board to under 3 minutes and be mindful not to repeat what others have already mentioned. And if required, the chair will remind you of the time concluding. And with that, we have one hand up, and that is Oriana Rivera from Senator Serrano's office. Oriana?
Yes, hello everybody, good evening. Just very quick, I just want to share that we're gonna have constituent hours for August, and that will be at Jefferson Senior Center. That's 2205 First Avenue. That will be August 12th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and will be also at Corsi Older Adult Center. That is at 307 East 116th Street. That's going to be August 21st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also want to remind you guys that our office is always open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. It's located at 335 East 100th Street. That's going to be between 1st and 2nd Avenue. Our phone number 212-828-5829. Again, 212-828-5829, and our email is serrano@nysenate.gov. I'm also going to put it in the chat as well. Just stay hydrated. The heat is very tremendous right now in this time. If you're around our office, please come by. It's also serving as a cooling center. Just stay safe and stay hydrated. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Any board member questions? No. Good. I see no other elected officials or their representatives. Oh, yep, that's separate. Yep. And with that, we'll move on to our borough president's report, and we have Porfirio Figueroa. Porfirio?
Hello there, everyone. My name is Porfirio Figueroa. I am the Deputy Director of Community Affairs for the Manhattan Borough President, Mark Levine. and he wants to acknowledge the investments the city has made in the current budget. He thanks the partnership of advocates, stakeholders, and neighbors that help secure the critical funds needed, and he remains committed to protect the programs Manhattanites rely on. A few highlights of the budget include investments in early childhood care and education, funding for public schools, expansion of library services and branches, and expanding legal services with 15.6 million to maintain right to counsel services for tenants facing eviction and 74.7 million for legal support services for immigrants. Our Dominican Heritage event will be held on Thursday, the 31st of July from 6 to 8 at the United Palace at 4140 Broadway in partnership with the Dominican Day Parade, which will be a milestone for 43 years. It's one of their anniversaries. The parade will be held mid-August. I have two very important safety and health announcements. So please let me finish because this is urgent. An outbreak of Legionnaire's disease has occurred in the following zip codes: 127, 130, 135, 137. This impacts Central Harlem and small sections of East Harlem. So if you have flu-like symptoms, muscle aches, fever, chills, trouble breathing, diarrhea, please go to the hospital or to your doctor. There is a simple urine test to test for that, and it's just a question of getting the right antibiotics. The other thing is Con Edison has asked that New Yorkers please try to conserve energy and stay hydrated during this heat wave. If you experience outages, please call 1-800-752-6633. Last, our volunteer corps, if you want to join us and help us out this summer, you can go to www.manhattanbp.nyc.gov and join our volunteer corps. Again, my name is Porfirio Figueroa. I'm the Deputy Director of Community Affairs, and my email is p.figueroa@manhattanbp.nyc.gov. The number is 212-669-8300. That completes my report.
Any questions for Porfirio? Yes, Nye Whitaker. Thank you.
Last summer, we had a similar outbreak of Legionnaire's disease, and I'm just curious to know if in your updates to the Borough President's office, there's been any information from the investigation and testing as to why there's been this increase, A, and B, with all of the floods and the stagnant water that's been occurring from the recent storms. Is there anything that people can do to protect themselves and stay healthy? I'm immunocompromised, and so this is very concerning to me. Thank you.
Yeah. So Legionnaire's disease occurs actually in the water towers. All buildings that have water towers are required to use what they call bio antibiotics to keep that under control and to prevent it. When it gets as hot as it does, the Legionnaire's disease tends to multiply very, very, very quickly. This was shared in a briefing that we had. So what they suggest and what is happening right now is that DOHMH is in the Department of Environmental Protection have teams out in all these different zip codes that I mentioned. This morning, to my knowledge, all the testing was brought to laboratories. It's being tested continually for the next 14 days. So far, 5 people have come down with the disease. There have been no fatalities, however. However, the incubation period is up to 14 days after being exposed. So if you see mist coming from the top of a building or you're feeling droplets, you really should cross the street, and especially if the building has a water tower on the top.
Thank you. I live in one of those buildings where there's been a leak from the water tower on the roof. So I'll follow up with your office. Thank you.
Actually, just so that everyone is aware, I did forward information to the district office to include an FAQ. So if the district manager or the CB11 office can, they can forward that information to all the members.
Okay, wonderful. Seeing no further questions, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Peter. Have a healthy rest of your summer.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Okay, wonderful. We will now move into a special presentation about the How Many Stops Act. We have a New York County Defender Services and John Jay College's Data Collaborative for Justice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Carter.
And my name is Destiny Reyes. We intern at New York County Defender Services, a Manhattan-based public defender office. We are here to present on people's rights when approached by the police and the How Many Stops Act, which was passed by City Council last year.
So today we're joined by Stephen Koppel and Molly Klamas. Stephen is a senior research associate at the Data Collaborative for Justice. He is currently doing research on the impact of several of New York's recent criminal justice reforms. He also teaches at the master's program of criminal justice at John Jay, and he completed a predoctoral fellowship in behavioral science training at NYU, a JD at Brooklyn Law School, and a PhD at John Jay College, and he's a member of the New York State Bar.
As well as Molly Kalmus is a senior trial attorney at New York County Defender Services. Before joining NYCDS, she worked as a criminal defense attorney in Queens. Ms. Kalmus earned her bachelor's and master's degree from John Jay College and is also pursuing her PhD at the CUNY Graduate Center. With that, I would pass it to Stefan to present on the How Many Stop Act, which is going to be joining us virtual.
Hey everybody, just a quick tech check, sound and visual.
Yeah.
All right, great. So hey everybody, my name is Stephen Capel. I'm a researcher with the Data Collaborative for Justice at John Jay College. And in this brief presentation, I'll be walking you through a recent analysis of investigative encounters, aka stops, using data released under the How Many Stops Act. So just a quick overview of the three types of stops according to NYPD's classification. So level 1, these are encounters where an officer has a quote, objective, credible reason to ask non-accusatory questions. Level 2 stops, here the officer can ask accusatory questions based on a founded suspicion of a crime. And then level 3 stops, these are the so-called Terry stops, where an officer can stop, meaning detain, a person based on a reasonable suspicion of a crime. So just to review, we have very low stops. For example, an officer is investigating a crime and asks if you saw somebody entering or leaving a building. Then an intermediate level, you are under some suspicion and the officer is investigating. And then finally, a high level 3 stop where you're under a stronger suspicion and NYPD can investigate and potentially detain. Prior to the passage of the How Many Stops Acts, officers were required to record information about all level 3 stops, those are the more serious Terry stops. But since July of last year, officers are now additionally required to record all level 1 and level 2 stops. And that data will be the focus of the presentation here. But just as background, as I mentioned, under a long-standing NYPD rule, there is a requirement to record data on level 3 stops, the most serious type. And here we see the annual trends from 2003 to 2024, showing the sharp peak of nearly 700,000 stops in 2011. So that amounted to about 1 per every 10 New Yorkers in that year. And then after the PD stop practices were found unconstitutional in 2013, the level declined sharply to 9,000 in 2021. However, since 2021, the number has nearly tripled to 25,000. So overall, these types of stops remain historically low, the Terry stops, but over the last several years, we've seen a sharp increase. So what did the new data on level 1 and level 2 stops show? So overall, during that 6-month period, There are a total of about 1.2 million level 1 stops and about 12,000 level 2 stops. Just for comparison, during the same period, there were about 13,000 level 3 Terry stops, so roughly the same amount as level 2. So where are the stops occurring? Here we see data broken out by borough, with borough population percentages shown on the far right-hand side. We see that in Manhattan, represented in orange, the percentages were roughly in line with its population share. So Manhattan makes up about 19% of the city's population, and it accounted for 25% of level 1 stops, so somewhat overrepresented, 13% of level 2 stops, somewhat underrepresented, and 19% of level 3 stops, so they're the exact same as its population share. Zooming in to the precinct level, here we see the precincts with the highest number of level 1 encounters or stops, shown in light blue. These include 3 precincts in Brooklyn, Flatbush, Brownsville, and East New York, and 2 in the Bronx. None were in Manhattan, and the high watermark overall was 32,000 level 1 stops just in this brief 6-month period in East New York. For level 2 stops, again, we see 3 of the top 5 in the Bronx. This is Mott Haven, East Tremont, and Bedford, and 2 in Brooklyn, it's Brownsville, and East New York, none in Manhattan. East New York was a bit of an outlier here with over 1,500 level 2 encounters in the 6-month period. The PD also provides information on how the stop was initiated. Data on the initial basis for encounters is shown here. Notably for level 1 stops, the PD were largely called to the scene. So it was initiated by a radio call, whereas for level 2 stops, they're mostly self-initiated by the officer, amounting to about 9 out of 10 stops. For level 2 stops, we also have information about the suspected crime. And here we see that suspected possession of a weapon was by far the most common reason for a level 2 stop, accounting for about 2 out of every 3 stops. And one question we can answer with the newly released data is what percentage of stops actually results in an arrest or a summons. This is so-called hit rate. For level 1, only 1% resulted in an arrest or summons, which is somewhat unsurprising given that the person here isn't necessarily under suspicion of a crime. For level 2, 7% were arrested and 2% were issued summons. And this meant that even when the officer had a, quote, founded suspicion, less than about 1 in 10 encounters resulted in further police action. And then for the more serious level 3 Terry stops, the hit rate was much higher. It's around 1 in 3 resulted in either a summons or an arrest. Turning to demographic characteristics, on the right, here we see the racial and ethnic distribution in the citywide population. And we see for level 1 encounters, Black individuals are overrepresented, comprising 39% of level 1 stops, though they made up about 23% of the population. For level 2, it was even more skewed, 59% of level 2 stops versus 23% of the population. Here's the gender breakdown. For level 1, we see almost an even split, 60-40 in favor of men. But for level 2, it was nearly all men, around 95% of those level 2 stops were men. And then finally, we see the data broken out by age. And for level 2 stops, it was skewed substantially younger, with a 30 and under population accounting for about 2 in 3 stops. So with these data as background, I'll now pass it over to Molly, who will be reviewing your rights in the event that you are subject to a stop.
Thank you. Am I loud enough? Okay. I think I might step away otherwise I might do it. I think you would step off. Okay. So first of all, thank you. And as I said, I want to talk about what happens if you are at a street encounter or if you are stopped at any of the levels. First of all, these levels are not very strict. While the legal standard is very strict, the street encounter is often not as strictly construed. It is a moment by moment what is happening on the street.
And the determination of what level the street encounter is, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or even the arrest, is ultimately determined by a judge at a hearing, which will be weeks or months after the street encounter. At a stop at any of them, well, at level 2 and over, the police officers may ask you for your identification. They may detain you if you don't verify your identification. This is something that they are legally allowed to do. Not providing identification may escalate the street encounter from whatever level it is to the next level. You do have the right to remain silent. You always have the right to remain silent. And this is true also at any street encounter. And you should remain silent because anything you say can and will be used against you. But invoking your rights, including that of silence, may also escalate the encounter. And again, I can't stress it enough, the determination of the level of the encounter is legally determined by a judge much later. It is not determined, the police officer may later testify to what he perceived it to be, and you may perceive it as something else, but ultimately that determination is determined later. And invoking your rights, though you have the right to remain silent, as I said, may escalate the levels. Filming police encounters may also escalate any level or may cause another police officer nearby or a police officer present to detain you and to ask you questions as well. Police officers have body-worn cameras on them that are recording all the time, even when the red light is not flickering. And so if you are arrested after a street encounter, or if you like to speak with a lawyer may subsequently, within a very short time though, subpoena that body-worn camera footage, even when the light is not on, because it is recording all the time. You have the right to an attorney. You do not need to wait to get an attorney assigned to you. You do not need to call an attorney. You have.
What you're saying is, now what should be heard.
Yes, thank you. You have the right to an attorney. You do not need to wait until you get an attorney in court to assert that right. You can be in front of the police officer and say, I want to speak with an attorney. I want my lawyer. You don't need to hire someone right there. You will get one. Unfortunately, you may also be processed during that time, but you will get a lawyer who will defend you zealously, who will get all of the evidence from your street encounter, and the court, as I said, will determine the legality as well as the level at a hearing later. Asking for a lawyer is permissible and legal. But while I'm saying sort of not happy things, really, right? Like that you can't control the level of the encounter on the street, right? And that there is a very, as we saw from the statistics, a pretty high likelihood that the encounter will go from level 1 to level 2 or level 2 or level 2 to level 3. And we saw that with Stefan's presentation. I do want to talk a little bit about optimism. And I say this because the courts and law takes a really long time to develop. But the judges now, especially one in the highest court of New York State, the highest court of New York State is called the Court of Appeals, and Honorable Jenny Rivera, who's on the Court of Appeals, has written opinions, right? This is law. Courts write opinions, this is law. And she has identified, quote, there is a tendency to submit to the badge. And earlier today, I was talking to my colleague who was recounting a story of when she was stopped for a traffic violation and how scary it was for her as a woman to be pulled over by the police and she didn't feel she could leave. And she didn't know what she could do. And this Judge Rivera says there is a tendency to submit to the badge. Judge Rivera has also informed that studies over several decades on social psychology of compliance, conformity, social influence, and politeness have all converged on a single conclusion. The extent to which people feel free to refuse to comply is extremely limited under situationally induced pressures. In short, social science research has shown what we always know. The feeling to be able to walk away is an illusion. And earlier, Stefan put at one of the levels, you have the right to walk away. Yes, you may. And unfortunately, that may also escalate the encounter. Social science research has shown that it doesn't always work that way. But the fact that the judge knows this and the fact that it's in opinions means that other judges are reading this, means that the judge at any hearing will read this and understand it. They're getting a little bit closer to understanding, even if maybe not in their own personal experiences, of what it is at a street encounter. This opinion is also available to law enforcement agencies such as the NYPD and the district attorney's office. And so these are things that will be argued in court. There is hope, there is optimism from this research that is showing very clearly what is happening from the law, and these things will continue to develop. And I hope that they continue to develop in the way that will support communities and the people that live in them. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Questions, please come to the mic.
Yeah, are there any questions? Kyoka, if you come up to the mic, and then Kenneth. If you have a question, be prepared to come up to the mic.
So I was just listening to the data and thank you for providing, but I didn't see where you guys correlated the information, the number of stops in relation to the amount of violent crimes and particularly in the particular precinct areas. Because it seems to always be that when there's a good amount of stops, it is because there's a large amount of violent crimes in that particular area. So how do we relate the data to that? And then also, one of the things that you didn't do was explain to people, because a lot of people do not know, is when the Miranda rights are legally supposed to be read.
So I would like.
Mike, speaking to the mic.
So that first question, I would like to defer to
the mic, please.
The first question I'd like to defer to Stefan because it's about data. And then afterwards, if it's okay, I'll respond to the Miranda question. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very good question. The last two graphs in the report that weren't shared here directly address that. And it looks specifically at the correlation between the total number of encounters at the precinct level and crime within that precinct. And indeed, there is a tight correlation between the two. It's a very good point, and obviously that's one of the important explanations for the higher volume that you see in certain locations.
Okay, Kenneth, Crouch, you had a question, and then sorry. No, the second part. Thank you.
So the question, as I understood, I want to make sure I understood it, was when are Miranda rights required? Miranda rights are required when a police officer does an interrogation. It feels like an interrogation on the street, but it is not. An interrogation is when you are detained, oftentimes in a police holding cell or in a precinct or in an interrogation room at the precinct. For the past number of years, these interrogations are also video recorded. A police officer asking for your name, asking for your address, legally, according to case law, does not fall under an interrogation. An interrogation is usually, much more in depth, and it is required for Miranda. If somebody is questioned on the street with a very accusatory questions, which, as we know, Terry stops and also the arrest can be accusatory questions, the defense attorney later will argue that this was in fact an interrogation and that the location in the precinct is not required. And so we will argue that Miranda should have been read. We will argue that just because it's not, fitting in this perfect idea of what somebody might believe is an interrogation, that it should have been done. But Miranda is specific for interrogations, and the law has very specific defined meanings of what that word means. I hope that I answered that.
Yeah, but it's just for a lot of people. Maybe the mic so everyone can hear the conversation.
Just say.
They always say Miranda rights should be read upon arrest, and that's not true.
That's correct. It's not true. That's not true. You're 100% right. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Okay. Kenneth Crouch, your questions, and then Michelle, you're up next.
Wow, thank you all so much for that. I think it's so important to have this in our community, to have these discussions. Love the board breakdown. We have a couple. The board, right? It's the board. Yeah. So I have a couple questions. The first is the data we saw today. That's all self-reported from the NYPD, correct? And so, how much of that is an undercount? How many people are really being stopped in our neighborhoods, in our communities? I guess that's directed to Stephen Koppel.
Michelle.
Yeah, so all this is in fact self-reported data. It's just one of the limitations that we have. That said, I mean, we're getting a better view into the activity of police officers under the How Many Stops Act, given that we now see not only the very serious type 3 stops, we're also seeing these very low level encounters. But again, it's at the discretion of the officer in principle on the ground to determine whether or not he's got to log that encounter. And there's always going to be some wiggle room. So it could be an undercount. It's possible. We just don't know how much of an undercount it actually is.
Got it. Thanks. And then one very quick question. So our community members don't often have physical identification cards. So in complying with the law, if an officer asks them for their identification, what are other ways they can comply without escalating to an arrest, to an encounter, to all those other sorts of things?
That's an excellent question. And one way is, for example, a student, we do have, unfortunately, some high school students in our office are arrested. But like, for example, a high school student may have a school ID. I've seen, my clients have informed that they keep pictures of their photo ID on their phones and will show to the police officer. I've seen in evidence that the police officer will take a picture of a phone that has the ID on it. Ultimately, it's not necessarily about picture ID, it's whether or not the police officer can verify your identity. So it does happen sometimes, often with younger people, but it does happen sometimes that a detention will happen, like a Terry stop, and a person will be brought to the precinct until another community member, sometimes a parent or a grandparent or an aunt, will come to the precinct and say, yes, this is my relative, I confirm their identity. I know that's not a very satisfying answer, but identity is something that they are permitted to ask. I hope, thank you.
Thank you. Michelle?
Thank you for bringing up all that information because it is pertinent, especially now that we have ICE coming in to different states and picking up people who do not have ID. I think it's really important that we find ways to get different IDs. I want you to state again the organization that you're from, because there were some people going back and forth where you're from. I know that we've heard some of this information within the public safety and transportation, and I'm glad that we got a lot of the information again towards the wider community. I wanted to find out specifically within our community, when we see something happening, even though the body worn camera is on, the first thing that people do is record it. And sometimes that changes the mood. Instead of escalating things from level 1 to level 3 right away, it empowers the community. And I hope that the people understand that. Because if you don't have anything that you can do and you feel powerless, there's more of a reaction. And I have seen things de-escalate when the camera is taken out by individuals, even though they're asked, who are you? What's your name? What job do you do? Even though you say all of those things, the situation de-escalates and the individuals that were almost being handcuffed are let go. So I want to know, has that happened within your information, Stephen Copel? When all the different recordings are happening? And is there a way to get the IDs towards everyone? And to please state again where you're from.
Go ahead.
Just regarding the data, we don't have the level of detail to answer that question, unfortunately.
Okay.
So the first answer is our organization is New York County Defender Services. We are one of the defense attorney providers. We're free of charge. We're another organization like the Legal Aid Society, which I guess has more name recognition, but we're the same work. In terms of video recording, I'm very happy to hear what you shared, and I appreciate knowing that. Unfortunately, I don't get to see or know the de-escalation events, and because I unfortunately, once it's escalated to an arrest, I meet my clients after the handcuffs are on, not before. And so I'm very happy to know that video recording does not always escalate the level. I do, again, think it's something we need to all be mindful of, that it can escalate, but I'm very grateful to know that it also can de-escalate. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that that's something we're going to take back to our office and absolutely be talking about, because that's not something that we knew. So that's very much, thank you very much. As to identification, as you've mentioned that there are many people who may not be able to have or don't get, I am not 100% familiar with how to get a New York City ID, but I do believe that the NYC ID program may be helpful in what you're requesting and what you're speaking about. I am not entirely proficient on how to get identifications, but if you give me 30 seconds, I might be able to get maybe less than 30 seconds, I might be able to get an answer for that. So if you will allow me 10 seconds.
Who was next that wanted to speak? Come on up while we get that information. Just wait for a second, so.
Evening, James Kemp, board members. The information, even myself at 51, is important information. My question is, and forgive me if I missed it, being that I work in board and ed and I'm with the youth all the time, do you have a plan on delivering this information to the youth? Because as you see, the demographic is mostly excuse me, 30 and under, right?
Yes.
And what I tend to find out, they stand up for things that they don't know the facts about, and they tend to get more in trouble. So I'm just asking, is there a plan in order to reach them?
Thank you. With the board's permission, I'd like to address the New York City ID question, and then I will answer yours, if that's okay, sir.
Yeah, sure.
So in the brief moment that I had, I was informed regarding NYCID that you could attend events at the Office of the Mayor holds webinars. The Office of the Mayor holds trainings and webinars on how to get these identifications. Again, that's the best answer I have in the moment that we have, but I appreciate that question, and it's just such an important one. As to the youth, I'm going to defer to my colleague because I think she's a better answer than I do.
One more thing on the IDs is if you go to a local city council person or even your state representative to their district office, it's easy to look that up. There's often people in there who can help you start that process. Oh, sorry. Yeah. You can often go to local representatives to their district office and they can help you start the ID process. And then even if like you don't have all the right documents, they can help you compile stuff. And then trying to like spread this information further. I'm a community engagement intern with the New York County Defender Services. So we're really looking at different places that we can bring this presentation. We're hoping to do one at CB9 next month, but if people have other organizations that would be interested in hosting us, we would love to work with you. Yeah, we're really just trying to get this off the ground and then start to share it as widely as possible.
Rosa had a question. Go ahead.
Yes, so I also share the concern from the private community member with regards to the youth. I have an autistic child, and I can just imagine she will not speak even if you ask her, what's your name? You know, and my oldest one is 18, and you know, doesn't matter who you are, he won't engage, period. You know what I mean? So it's a little concerning that you have the right to remain silent, but you really don't have the right. You have to speak. You know what I mean? So that shouldn't even be a right then. My question would be, what is the time frame that you guys keep the video camera for? Like, if a constituent wants to ask for the video camera, like, where do we go? And how long can we request it for, especially if it's subpoenaed?
So the body worn camera, when not flickering, right, the body worn camera is off and on. The off is the light is not on, and the on is the red light is flashing. When it is flashing, the police officer has already informed his precinct to preserve the recording. That recording is expected to be preserved to what is expected to be an arrest number. Maybe it goes into the court system because not every arrest continues to be prosecuted. In that case, the recording should be available. If it does not result in an arrest that goes to the courthouse, I would venture to say probably less than a week. But if it does go to the courthouse, that video recording will last for the duration of the case and will be given to the defense attorney as part of the evidence discovery that's required to be provided to all defense attorneys under this discovery statute, under the discovery laws. If there is no flashing light, then it's preserved by the company. It's called Axon. That's the producer, the creator of the body worn cameras. And they preserve it, I think, for 3 days. It's a very short turnaround because it's a lot of data being recorded by a lot of police officers. There's something like 33,000 police officers in New York City. And so to keep all of that body worn camera, even the portions that are not flickering red, is, I guess they've executively decided only 3 days. So I hope that answers your question.
It does answer the question, but it doesn't actually give me hope because to start litigation is actually a couple of months. But can I also refer you to speak to me, maybe to the side, or give me your information so we can come and speak to the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council? I'm the chair. We'd love to have this information for all the parents to hear. Thank you.
Wonderful. Nilsim, I'll give you the last questions and then I have some recommendations for forward steps.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I just had one suggestion, and then you can just keep it from there. Summer Youth Employment Program is during the summer months, and you have citywide, all the different boroughs have summer youth employment programs. And we have thousands of young people working, and then we have 14 to 15-year-olds probably in workshops and classes with that. And so my suggestion would be that, especially during the summer months where it's extremely hot and you may have a captive audience from the 14 and 15-year-olds who are doing workshops, that would be the best time to do that. There is also all summer youth employment program, young people have to do, well, they do internships, but they have to come in and they have to do their paperwork. And it would be good when they are getting an orientation before the start of the program, and usually it's like, depending on the service level, you may have like 100 kids at a pop where you can do these presentations, and if you have any materials that they can get, and so then that could be a yearly kind of thing or seasonal kind of thing. And then there's after school, which have the after school programs. We have a lot of providers in this community that definitely need this information. But I want to thank you for your service and your work and for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. Do stay in touch. I would also recommend that you get in touch for this district, our community affairs officers and the 2-5 and the 2-3 to collaborate on how to interact with our youth. And in fact, Keoka, who, if you don't mind me outing you for a moment, Keoka is our community precinct council for the 2-5. So a great resource, and we get involved with a lot of our youth. And in fact, on the job I'm working on right now, as a producer, I've actually pulled one of those youths by connection, and that's really important how we build that community and also educate them to, that first interaction of respect can often go a long way to assist. And we've lost a lot of good officers who get transferred and have built relationships in this community. And so I think the ways we can collaborate is a very preventative measure. So 2 cents. Thank you. Okay. With that, we will now move the agenda along. We are now going into the business session. This is where board members conduct board business. It's not for the public. The public is welcome to stay and listen. So thank you very much for that. We have the adoption of the board minutes. The minutes from the last full board meeting were distributed to board members ahead of time by the board office. If there are no objections, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Board members, please keep your voices down. If you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand here or through Zoom. Seeing none, the minutes from the last full board meeting are officially adopted. So I'll keep my chair's report very brief. Since June, I've been going to the senior centers throughout. We have Covello, Corsi, a bunch of others throughout. I really recommend board members that you start to research and look up those community providers and what they do for our seniors, especially when it comes to cooling centers. Participate in our UMES board meetings as well. Those that aren't familiar, it's Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, something that was actually passed through legislation by the late Charlie Rangel, who actually activated a lot of investment for Northern Manhattan. Each of the community boards gets one representative on the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. So with that, we also have been attending board, and we've been dealing with a lot of the same issues, whether it's been sanitation, substance abuse, public safety. E-bikes was a very hot topic. You know, getting people, these e-bikes can come up to 25 or more miles per hour. They can actually be modified to go to 40. You just change the brain on them. So it's actually a real safety hazard. But that was something that's discussed. Also, too, I appreciate those board members who texted me about the air quality recently. It's been really bad in the area, and that's why I'm kind of reacting a little bit as well. So again, if you see these things, please communicate. It's important for us to deal with these issues. Finally, next week, don't forget we have National Night Out next week, and that is August 5th, right, Kyoka? Yeah. Okay, so we'll have tabling on 106th between Lex and 3rd for the 2-3. You have over on the 2-5, you'll be over there on, what is that, 119th? Right in front of the precinct. And I have to check in and see where PSA 5 is going to be. So tune in, please stop by and come and help table. Thank you. That concludes my report. Hope you have a healthy summer, and we'll now go to officers' reports. Jess?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Not a official report necessarily, but did want to note that we had our budget town hall last Tuesday. Wish we had had more people, but I think it was great to share information about the budget process, hear from a handful of community members, and to start that process together. So I just wanted to say thank you, especially to the Community Board 11 staff. We were able to locate the COVID documents that when we did this event last, and it was incredibly helpful. I also want to thank our elected officials who came, specifically Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala, accompanied by Elsie Encarnacion, as well as Assembly Member Jordan Wright. And we also had virtually representatives from Senator Serrano's office. I did want to note that all elected officials were invited, and these were the ones that showed up. I also wanted to especially thank everyone who came from Community Board 11, Angel, Khalid, Rosa, Sage, Derek, James, Tamika, David, Kyoka, and Tanya. Thank you so much for being there. It was great for you to, be there in support and to hear from the community members that we had. And right now we are still running our public survey. You should see that every time that you receive communications from the community board office. It's available for scanning at the board office. And I hope that many of you will join us for National Night Out, where we hope to get as many surveys filled out as possible. And just leading up to the session beginning in September, we'll have our public hearing in September, and followed shortly by our community board submissions for the budget process in October. So please reach out if you have any questions, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And the reason I didn't go to Angel for his district manager report is he informed me he didn't have one. Correct, Angel?
All right.
There
You're welcome.
Summer.
Okay. Rosa?
Just for me, no big report, but just a reminder, if you have any questions with regards to your attendance, please let me know. I am available via email, text, phone call. Just let me know. Don't wait till you are called upon. I am available. Again, please reach out. Thank you.
Great. So if you have any questions with attendance, Rose is the person to speak with. Next, we have committee reports and action items. First up is executive to remind everyone in the absence, so when we have recess during July and August, typically, executive can act on behalf or something that is timely and full board has already occurred. Executive, again, can act on behalf, but it has to be ratified at the next full board meeting. So what we have are two agenda items here. The East Harlem Bottling Company doing business as East Harlem Bottling Co. They had their application for a sidewalk cafe license, restaurant located at 1711 Lexington Avenue. That was voted and approved. And then Cafe Con Rumba, number 856979, was a street event. And that was held July 19th, 2025 on 106th Street between 3rd and Lexington. That was also approved. If there are no questions, I would like to bundle these two action items. Okay. No. No? Didn't we approve that though?
It never happened.
Yeah, we still took a position though to support it, even if it didn't, so that's, yeah, even if they decide not to do it for whatever, whether it's weather or whatnot, if we took a position at executive, then we would ratify it here. So I'd like to bundle these two. It would again be a new action item. Yes. Did we deny that? All right. No, you're right. We did deny that. It wasn't notated here on my paperwork. Correction, right? Okay, like to bundle the committee's recommendations that the first one, the East Harlem Bottling Company was approved and the Cafe Con Rumba was denied. Thank you for that clarification. It just wasn't notated here on the agenda. I will then entertain a motion to support the committee's recommendations. Yes, Jose. The second, there was a motion to support the committee's recommendations by Jose Altamirano. Is there a second? Michelle Wiltshire Clement, second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next up is land use, landmarks and plannings, and we have two motions here. So Jason?
Good evening, family. Jason. I'm your chair for Land Use, Landmarks, and Planning. We have two action items that we're going to go over. Just a brief update from the meeting. Big discussion on planning. In the last, I want to say the last 2 years since I've been chair, we've always had a focus on land use. Then last year was landmarks. So the next quarter, we're going to be focusing on planning. So those of us who are interested, please come to committee in September. So we have two action items. One item was motioned by Jessica Elliott to provide a letter of no objection with conditions for application BSA CAL number 460-77-BZH 55 East 125th 4th Street. The motion was seconded by Derek Stampone and passed unanimously.
Okay. Any questions? No, we have BZ11. Okay. Yes, Jessica Morris, you have a question.
So
Guys, please.
Malik, I can answer the question, so, but I got a question and a statement. So, I recently started a role with BSA, so I have to be present, not voting, just disclosing any potential conflict of interest. I've been told that I can opine on things that come before the board that go to BSA. And I just want to invite all board members, anything. At BSA actually, I think, really cares about what the community has to say about applications. So if I think we have conditions. So two means they've been there twice. Yeah, means that this is the second time they've been there for an action. So my question, it's more point of information, if that's okay. Sorry, point of information is sorry.
Go ahead.
point of information is that the public hearing for the application will be in August 11th and 12th. It's something that you can tune into and participate in. Further, if there are any questions about the conditions we've put forward, if you want to represent them in any sort of way, it is welcome, and you can participate by Zoom. So if there's any interest in the board, I would also just acknowledge that this is a big piece of property in our district, and it has a future. And I think at every point to engage is publicly is welcome. So if anybody needs that information, it's publicly available on BSA's site, and I'm also happy to personally make sure that you receive it. So no question, but just a couple
Thank
of
you.
points of information. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Yes,
Jessica.
Jose. Okay, seeing no further questions, Jose has made a motion. This is a main motion on the floor, so there's not a second. Reminding everyone, whenever we bundle things like that or take a new motion, so motion support. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Present not voting, huh? Present not voting, Jessica Morris. David, were you present? No. Thank you. All right, thank you. Next agenda item.
Excellent. Moving right along. Second action item was a motion by Jessica Elliott to approve with conditions of land use application. I will not read it out, so that way I don't make any errors or omissions with my grammar. And it is for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority's 125th Street and Lexington rezoning. The motion was seconded by Adem Briha and passed unanimously. Again, it was approved with conditions.
Okay, are there any questions? Because we have, this is a Euler. We have Joe O'Donnell and Paul Januszewski from the MTA. So any last questions from those not on the committee? Okay. Seeing none, there was a motion by Jessica Elliott to approve with conditions that the land use application C 250-300 ZMM and N 250-301 ZRM Metropolitan Transportation Authority 125th and Lexington rezoning. I'll entertain a motion. Michelle, what's your comment? Okay. All those in, Michelle has motioned to support the committee's recommendation. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board.
Okay, next up, we have license and permits. So Anne Marie. Who? Oh, Kyoka, you have your hand raised. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, thank you. For those that missed the onboarding, we're going to have another follow-up one. TBD on the timing. We did have with Angel hosted a full onboarding where kind of drew it out all in crayon. We're going to do another one in person once this heat wave breaks and kind of explain what's going on. But to give you a ground floor, what we're doing is most of the work is done in committee. That's where we do the work. That's where we spend the hours deliberating, discussing the ideas and coming to positions. This is where we have most of our presentations. In this case, let's take, for example, the action item number 4, it was a rezoning dealing with the MTA, right? That's our subway and bus systems. And they needed to make changes as it relates to that block, right? So you have an application process and during that process, they'll come present to relevant community boards. They presented to us. The committee took a position. Sometimes that's a position to support, sometimes it's to deny. So and then it comes to the full body, the full board to be ratified or confirmed. That clear so far? So then the next thing, what we're dealing with are licenses, permits. This is the most droll part of the evening, right? But what we're going to do is this committee approves our licenses. It's 5 pages. Yes, I know. So in your best auctioneer voice, I'm going to ask you to go through them as quickly as possible. And again, we are going to bundle these are to accept the committee's recommendation. And all I'm going to do when I repeat this, she's going to read them in for the record. And then all I'm going to say is one, like 5 is approved, 6 is denied, right down the line so we can get on with the board business. And again, this is part of our process when it comes to licenses for liquor license changes, whether we're having street permits. Okay?
I got the
Off
best
to the
one.
races. Thank you, Anne Marie.
You're welcome. For the new members, welcome. I'm Anne Marie Vasquez. I chair the License and Permit Committee and I vice chair Economic Development and Culture Committee. And I have the honors of reading the next 5 pages to you guys. I don't have to say the number, right? The
You just say number 5.
application number? I don't
Yeah,
have to say
no.
the application number for each one?
You can just read it out once for the record.
All right, here it goes. Number 5, Disfruiting LLC DBA Allison Class Change Application for Full Liquor License, number 024023139865 for a restaurant located at 1651 Lexington Avenue, New York, 10029 and 104th Street. The committee recommends this application be approved.
And then go on to the next one.
Go to the next one, okay. Number 6, El Nuevo Paso Mexican Restaurant Corp., new application for full liquor license for a restaurant located at 64 East 97th Street, New York, 10029 on Park Avenue. The committee recommends that this application be denied. Number 7, Best Lexington Pizza Corp., DBA Kashua Nostra, renewal application for a wine, beer, and cider license number 024023140268 for a restaurant located at 1634 Lexington Avenue, store number 3, New York, 10029, 103rd Street. The committee recommend that this application be approved. Number 8, Earl's Beer and Cheese LLC, renewal application for a wine, beer, and cider license number 1270518 for a restaurant located at 1259 Park Avenue, New York, 10029, 97th Street. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Number 9, La Panteras Negras Inc., renewal application for a liquor, wine, and beer license number 1333755 for a restaurant located at 2130 Second Avenue, New York, 10029, 110th Street. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 10, The Five Amigos Inc., DBA Amor Cubano, renewal application for a liquor, wine, and beer license number 034023134965 for a restaurant located at 2018 Third Avenue, New York, 10029, 111th Street. The committee recommends that this application be denied. Number 11, DNA Diner Corp., DBA Monte Carlo Diner, new application for a sidewalk cafe for a restaurant located at 2162 Second Avenue, New York, 10029, 111th Street. The committee recommend that this application be approved. 12, Cafe d'Anvers, DBA Mojo Desserts or Mojo Desserts, new application for a roadway cafe for a restaurant located at 1567 Lexington Avenue, New York, 10029, 100th Street. The committee recommends that this application be denied. 13, Don Alejo Coffee, new application for a roadway cafe for a restaurant located at 228 East 116th Street, New York, 10029 Second Avenue. The committee recommends that this application be denied. 14, Open Streets, Summer Streets, Manhattan, number 1, 8372592, 8372803, 8372990, street event, August 2nd, 2025, set up at 12 a.m., breakdown at 11:30 p.m. August 9th, 2025, set up at 12 a.m., breakdown at 11:30 p.m. August 16th, 2025, set up at 12 a.m., breakdown at 11:30 p.m. Location number 1 is East 109th Street between Park Avenue and Fifth Avenue. Location number 2, Park Avenue between East 33rd Street and East 109th Street. Location number 3, Park Avenue between 109th Street and East 110th Street. Location number 4 is East 109th Street between Park Avenue and Lexington Avenue. Full street closure, Kenny Plasencio is the applicant, sponsors New York City Department of Transportation. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Number 15, Giglio Feast of San Antonio, number 863874, Single Block Festival, August 7, 2025, set up at 5 p.m., breakdown at 10 p.m. Location Pleasant Avenue between East 114th Street and East 116th Street, full street closure. Applicant is Mitchell Farbman, sponsors SOSP Inc. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Number 16, Giglio Feast of San Antonio, 86414A, Single Black Festival, August 8th, 2025, set up at 5 p.m., breakdown at 11 p.m. Location is Pleasant Avenue between East 114th Street and 116th Street. Full street closure. Applicant is Mitchell Farman, sponsored by Columbus Citizens Foundation. The committee recommends the application be approved. 17, Giglio Feast of San Antonio, number 864155, Single Black Festival, August 9, 2025, set up at 1 p.m., breakdown at 10 p.m. Location is Pleasant Avenue between 114th Street and 116th Street, full street closure. Mitchell Farbman is the applicant, sponsors Union Settlement Association. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Number 18, Giglio Feast of San Antonio, number 864161, Single Black Festival, August 10, 2025. Set up at 1 p.m., breakdown at 10 p.m. Locations Pleasant Avenue between 114th Street and 116th Street. Full street closure. Mitchell Farman is the applicant, sponsored by the Giglio Society of East Harlem, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Shrine Church. The committee recommends that this application is approved. 19, Lakeview Tenants Association Block Party 856939 is a block party, August 16, 2025, set up at 11 a.m., breakdown at 5 p.m. Location is East 107th Street between Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue. Full street closure. Yolanda Queen is the applicant, sponsor is Lakeview Tenants Association. The committee recommends that this application be denied. 20, Back to School Rally, number 862073, street event, August 20, 2025, set up at 9 a.m., breakdown at 5 p.m. Location is East 124th Street between Madison Avenue and Park Avenue. A full street closure. Applicant is Sharon Gonzalez, sponsored by the Black Landing Foundation. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 21, End of Summer Block Party, number 872141. Block Party, August 22nd, 2025, set up at 4:30 p.m., breakdown at 9 p.m. Location is East 105th Street between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue. Full street closure. Ketty Calcano is the applicant, sponsored by residents of the block. The committee recommends that this application be denied. 22 is No Hands Annual Kids Day, number 856926 Block Party, August 23rd, 2025, set up at 9 a.m., breakdown at 6 p.m. Location is East 126th Street between Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue. Is a full street closure. Yvette Garrett is the applicant, sponsored by the residents of the block. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 23 is Back to School Education Block Party 863645 Street Event, August 23rd, 2025, set up at 10 a.m., breakdown at 4:30 p.m. Location is East 100th Street between Lexington Avenue and Park Avenue. Street closure, full street closure, is a full street closure. Applicant is Reverend Felipe Ayala, sponsored by the Life Changes Church and Ministries. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 24 is Love Day 25, 872032 Block Party, August 23rd, 2025, set up at 10 a.m., breakdown at 7 p.m. Location is East 107th Street between Madison Avenue and Fifth Avenue. It's a full street closure. Applicant is Samuel Moore, sponsored by residents of Lakeview Apartments. This committee recommends that this application be approved. 25 is Old Timers Block Party, 870815 Block Party, August 23rd, 2025, set up by 11 a.m., breakdown at 8 p.m. Location is East 100th Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue. There's a full street closure. Applicant is Alan Cox, sponsored by 342 East 100th Street Co-op Association, residents of the block. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 26 is Barbecue, 861903 Block Party, August 23rd, 2025, set up at 12 p.m., breakdown at 8 p.m. Location is East 129th Street between Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue. Full street closure. Applicants were shown. Yes, please.
Just read the title and whether the motion was approved or not. This doesn't all have to be read. I never did.
We have in the past, but that's fine. I'm content, as long as we have it on this screen.
I mean, it is a lot. I still got.
Yeah,
to
keep going, keep going.
So you want me to?
Yeah, truncate it a little bit. You can do that in this case. If everyone's willing to suspend, do I have unanimous consent to suspend reading it in and just say what the title of it is and whether it's approved or not?
So the title,
All those in favor, do I have it just means there has to be one objection. Any objections to that? No. Okay.
Thank God.
Proceed.
I read this at a committee and then,
Yeah.
anyway.
Carry on.
All right, so where was I? Barbecue. I did, okay, barbecue, right, barbecue. I'm just gonna finish that one and I'll do the rest. Okay, full street closure, Rashonda Wickham is the applicant sponsored by residents of the block. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 27, Miles and Parker Tenant Association. I do have to say the number, right, of the application? No? Okay, Miles and Parker Tenant Association. It's a block party, August 23rd, 2025, located at 121st Street between Lexington Avenue and Park Avenue. Continue?
Continue.
The title, the
Title,
date,
date.
and that's it, right? The title and the date? Okay.
Whether it's
Okay,
approved or not.
yes.
Thank you.
So
Please.
can you guys, I'm like,
Yep. Guys, everyone, I'm chairing the meeting. We already waived via unanimous consent. The number, the title.
the number, the title, the number, and the date. And
No,
it's a.
no, just the, you don't have to get the date, just give the
No,
title,
the
the
title,
number, the title, the application number, and whether it was approved or denied.
Okay.
Just do
okay,
that. Thank you.
Okay, got it.
It's on screen.
Miles and Parker Tenant Association, number 867506, and it was approved. The committee recommend that this application be approved. 28, Central American Fest, number 862876. The committee recommends that this application be approved. RCA Welcome Back to School Fair, 873002, and the committee recommends that this application be approved. 30, Community Resource Fair, number 873326. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Metro North Day, number 834199. The committee recommends that this application be denied. 32, Clever Cubs into the intro to the community, 872910. The committee recommends that this application be approved. 1199 Block Party, 873315. The committee recommends that this application be approved. KR3Ts, Back to School Wellness Dance Festival, number 870159. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Back to School Black Festival, number 857814. The committee recommends that this application be approved. We should have done this from the beginning. Imanas Helping Hands Health and Wellness, number 867082. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Borinquen Neighborhood Health Center Annual Health Fair, number 855750. The committee recommends that this application be approved. Love on the Block 2025, 115th, 2nd, and 3rd, number 84785, I'm sorry, 847875. The committee recommends that this application be approved.
Okay. Welcome. Okay. Yes, Beverly, you have a.
Wait, which one is that one? No, right? The location, what was your location? Uh-huh. Is that 33rd Street?
To 109th Street. Yeah. Yeah. Great. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to bundle these if there are no questions. Yes, I see a hand. Jason?
Jason.
Jason, you had a question or you wanted to motion to move?
Wait,
Okay,
before you-
Keoka?
Can I say something to the new people, those that were denied? The reason why they were denied was because they didn't submit their paperwork.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. Keoka, any question?
Say that again, 19 and what? 19 and 24, August 22,
Different dates.
and August 16, yeah, August 16 and August 23rd, different dates.
Okay, different sponsors. Yes, I have, Carlos, you have a
Yeah.
question? So you have to be present, not voting when we get to,
I'm also on the, well, I work there.
for the record. Okay, great, Jason. Okay. 37. voting.
37.
Yeah,
He's on the
37.
board and I work there. So
Yeah,
we-
so Anne Marie and Carlos will be present, not voting. So I'm going to read these back real quick. Number 5 was approved, 6 denied, 7 approved, 8 approved, 9 approved, 10 denied, 11 approved, 12 and 13 denied, 14, 15, and 16 approved. 17, 18 approved, 19 denied, 20 approved, 21 denied, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 were approved. 27, 28, 29, 30 were approved, 31 was denied, 32, 33, 34, 35 were approved. 36, 37, 38 were also approved. I will entertain a motion to bundle the committee's recommendations. I saw Jason Villanueva. And a second that by Adam Briha. Give it to all those in favor. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And those present not voting for number 37 are Anne Marie Vasquez and Carlos Diaz for number 37.
There's an opposed, there's a hand up.
Oh, there's an opposed? Yes. Is that you, John?
It's Jewel
Jewel,
Joseph.
sorry, Jewel, I couldn't hear you.
Get the
All
chat.
right.
No vote for number 25. Thank you.
No for 25 from Jewel Jones. Okay, with that, we're now going to move on to bylaws. I will bring up Adem, Kenneth Crouch and Adem Briha.
Good evening, everybody. I will spare you a lengthy recap of our meeting, but we had really robust discussion. We had non-committee members come in. We had really, really great talks. And to that end, I just want to gently remind folks that the real work really begins in committee. And while I'm not trying to stifle debate, I do want us to keep in mind that we thought very carefully about different options, different ways of considering these proposed amendments, and what you see before you is a distillation of that discussion. Anything you want to add? No? Oh, that was great. Thanks. So I think we'll do these one by one. So I will read the proposed amendment. I will give a little bit of color if needed for the amendment, if it doesn't make sense. We will then open the floor to discussion and we'll talk about the amendment. Once discussion has ended, we will then take a vote on that proposed amendment. Of course, if there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and we can discuss from there. So the first proposed amendment is to Article 9 of the Bylaws Committee, of the Community Board 11 to facilitate future bylaw revisions. And what that speaks to is, if everyone recalls our last May meeting, we changed Article 9, Section A. Initially, the way we've changed any bylaw or have any bylaw provision change is to have a supermajority, 2/3 of the body vote, and then provide a 50-day notice period. So if folks recall, from our last meeting, we changed it to a majority vote, which conforms with city council, with the charter. And then we changed the notice period to 28 days. So I'm happy to read it into the record if needed, the full amendment, revision. I don't think that's necessary. I think we can now open the floor for discussion on number 39.
Okay. So the committee presented a recommendation to the proposed amendment to Article 9 of the bylaws of Community Board 11 to facilitate future bylaws provisions, which reduces the amount of days when information has to be emailed or snail mailed to be considered received before we take a vote in a position. We will now open up the floor to debate on the matter. I ask that you come up to the mic and whether you opposed or against, and alternating fashion. So, and we will entertain the first now. So anyone who wishes to speak on the matter? No. Yes. No.
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked at community boards in Brooklyn. There are several that do a less than 50-day period. And again, the majority vote just comes from the fact that I think only the city council land use committee does a 50-day period. Every other official city council action is a majority vote. So just based on that precedent, based on looking at other community boards, we decided to be more in line with what everybody else does.
Can everyone speaking, please come into the mic?
I can restate the question if that's helpful.
No, because everyone listening on YouTube would like to hear from the person. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
for
it'd
sure.
be
Yeah,
easier.
yeah.
And also for the minutes, like write your name down and, sometimes I'm like, what did you say?
Sure, yeah.
I get to attend a lot of other community board meetings, and so across all of the counties. And so I was curious for the new members and anyone that wasn't a part of the bylaws committee, if you could speak about not just specifically item 39, but the process by which other community board bylaws were reviewed across all boroughs or a sample thereof to help inform the work so that we can be more in line with some of the more progressive community boards. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for that. And I don't know if I have too much more to add. I don't think it was a representative survey, but yeah, no, appreciate that. Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. So, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
So on that first bit about the 2/3, that was actually an error in our bylaws for all these years. We're not allowed to do that. No community board is allowed to do that. And it just lived there forever. So that's something that one of our members identified. Thank you to that member. That community boards are not allowed to do 2/3 requirement for any votes. All community board votes have to be by majority. So just on that first point for that clarification.
Just stay there. I'm just
Okay. So going back, is there any debate on the matter? Seeing that there is none, we will now take a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Who was that, please? Was that Jill Jones? Wanda Hopkins abstains?
No, I wasn't abstaining.
Oh. Aye, okay, so, thank you. The motion carries. All right, number 40, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I'll just describe again briefly. Okay, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, but the proposed revision is, here's the wording. I think you all received an email on June 5th, but I'll read the wording very quickly. A member is required to have served on the board a minimum of 12 months to be a candidate for an officer position. So I'll speak a bit to the committee's understanding behind that, and then we can open it for discussion. Our fear is that we want to have officers who have more than just very thin experience or exposure to the board, folks who may not know the mechanics of the board, how the board operates. And additionally, I think as everyone's aware, even the residency requirements to be a board member, they don't have a durational requirement. So in theory, someone could move into our community and run for office the next day, right? And then become chair of the board. And I think the committee felt that it's important to have people who are grounded in our community, who know the issues in our community, who are prepared to address those things, and also know the way the board works to solve those problems. So that's a bit of our insight. I'll leave to the chair now to open discussion for this amendment.
Jason, do you have a question?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to speak to the board. I am in full support of this item. This is an item I've been advocating for since I've been a board member. From experience, we've had members, they start right now in the cycle and then they become officers once we go for election. And it's to me, from my personal experience, both in executive leadership and even as a chair, it's always a fiasco. I feel like, and even in some cases, I've noticed that it's spun board members out, right? They come, they want to be a part of the team, they're here, they get into leadership, they start dealing with the stress, and that's kind of why we started getting rid of the assistant positions. Again, this is my position, not speaking for the committee, but I am in full support of members should have some sense of ownership and know-how of how to function in the board prior to taking leadership. Respectfully, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wants to speak in opposition or in favor of this position? Please, Jessica Morris.
Just briefly to state my support based on committee discussion and the input and insight that committee members brought to this. I would like to suggest a friendly amendment, additional clause to this friendly amendment is where we can sort of make an adjustment before we vote, where the committee has already voted. In that this was spurred by the potential for large turnover in the board because of the term limits that will be upcoming. And some large number of the board may cycle off all at once. It may be beneficial to consider adding a qualifier that would state a proposed amendment to Article 2 of the bylaws of Community Board 11 to require a member to have served on the board a minimum of 12 months in the past 2, 3, 5, 7 years, right? So if you take a gap year or couple of years and you join the board again, you have that knowledge, the requisite kind of understanding of how the board works, and you could immediately run for an officer position. So if we add that clause, it won't prohibit members who take some time away from the board who decide to return to the board from immediately taking on a leadership role. Whatever that term is, I think would be reflective of how much we think the board has changed, or could, say has previously served on the board, and whether that was 15 years ago, maybe that's too long of a sort of a gap between, which is why there would be a qualifier period of time. So I'm not sure if that adds to the debate in the conversation, or if the friendly amendment would be struck down by whomever will be kind of.
So to I see the hands, stand by. To clarify, to restate, is that what you're wishing to make as an amendment to this bylaws amendment is that an individual who, for example, has cycled off and has come back on for whatever reason, that this would not apply to them because they are already seasoned members in previous service. So for example, if say Nilsa and I cycle off, and in which we are, and Jess and a few others here, and we apply to come back on after that kind of gap term, that this would not apply to us, is what you're advocating for, is that as an amendment. Have I restated that clearly? Okay, that's what you're wishing to do. Now I will entertain, because we have yeah, and Adem, you wanted to speak. Okay, so yeah, to the mic, please.
I'd like to speak to the process around possibly doing this as a friendly amendment. I think because it's bylaws on something that requires prior notice, I think that we can consider as like an amendment that would be voted on separately. But I think to just sort of like to have them accept it as like a thing, I don't think we should do that. So that's all I'll say for now, just regarding that process. So if we do want to consider that as an amendment, we would should probably do that and then sort of come back to the larger change to the bylaws.
Nelson, oh yeah.
Just briefly, yeah, I should have actually spelled this out. Just in terms of parliamentary procedure, I actually agree with that. If there is any amendment for anything we're talking about today, with respect to bylaws, then we will vote on that amendment, and then we will vote on the fully amended bylaw, whatever it is.
Yep, there was, excuse me, allergies. There was a question around where do we amend any of the proposed bylaws, and it would happen during this meeting if we were going to make any amendments. That's where it would happen, because we've had our 50 or 30, our truncated notice period. So, Nilsa.
Hello, everyone again. While I understand what you mean, Jessica, I don't necessarily think that that's a thing. It says you have to serve a minimum of 12 months. If I'm getting off the board in about another year and a half, I've been on this board a long time. If I come back and I have served a minimum of 12 months, right? It doesn't mean that your experience is discounted because you have been cycled off the board, or if you're new. This is saying that you have to have a minimum of 1 year's experience in order to be, to consider yourself to run for an officer. you don't lose experience by being on the board. If anything, you gain more experience and bring it back and then argue with everybody else that's here regarding your experience. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, so if we agree on the interpretation that we're not, it would be considered moot at that point. So is there any further debate on that? And thank you, though, for forward thinking about how that would impact it. Yes, you wish to speak further on the debate.
So I rise against the proposed revision to present an alternative view of this. I think that as a board, just because someone runs as a candidate doesn't mean they get the position. So if there was a person who maybe they have 24 months of experience or 36 months of experience, and you don't feel they're qualified or you don't feel they'll best represent the board in any of the positions, you just don't vote for them. So that's my take on it, although I certainly hear the value in making sure the person leading the board hasn't been on it for a short amount of time. I think that ultimately us as voters can just make that decision not to elect that person. I know there are some who don't agree with that, but that's okay. That's my take on it. And so for all of you to consider. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Adem?
I just want to respond to that. And it's been brought up at bylaws mostly by me. There are requirements for running from any position in this country, whether it's an age limit of, whatever it is. So I don't see why the board can't have certain limitations. And I say this as a board member with experience of this happening and not working out. Let's also keep in mind that we've had a lot of unopposed elections where there was only one member. Now, granted, if that's the only person who wants to run, I can understand that. But I think we also just have to take into consideration how things are going to work here, rather than, I don't know. I'm for this amendment.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak or to rise in favor or, against this amendment before I add my particular hot take, if you will? Nelson? I heard a hand pop up in the Zoom. Asher. So Nelson, and then Asher.
So, in the past, I've been bylaws vice chair in 2 iterations, and I can tell you there's a lot of thought behind these amendments. I will tell you that this bylaws committee has been very intentional and has asked a lot of the questions and have gotten negative opinions and positive opinions and have tried to distillate it. Is that the right word? And in a sense that will help us help our community in the future and help us in the running of this board. So I am giving my wholehearted support, not that it means anything to anybody else, but I am giving my wholehearted support to this amendment because I think in any job you go to, there has to be a minimum of experience. And if we are taking the charge to work for our communities, at the very least, we should be able to say that someone in a position that was elected had at least a year's worth of experience. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nelson. Asher?
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my support for this because I was there when the committee was talking about it. There's a reason why this was put in place. And the reason why is like Nosa said, we cannot have people who aren't ready necessarily to be chairs of stuff. It's not, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in most places. And it's nothing against anyone, but we want for whoever is going to be in a leadership position could be the best that they could be to serve the community. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak for or against the matter? Okay, I'll just add real quick. When I got on this board, I had actually been attending board meetings prior to being appointed in 2009 in April, when they actually got the appointments on time. David's shaking his head. He remembers that little throwback when we, that's it. So, and at the time, our chair was Robert Rodriguez, who's now the head of the Dormitory Authority. And given my background as a producer and dealing with finance, he thought, the amount of money we deal with was a pretty easy lift as treasurer. And so under his encouragement, I ran. Now, I was not here for 12 months, but I had been attending regularly to where people recognized me, and was a quick study on, luckily, working with George Sarkisian we saw things eye to eye on many things. So I am neither for nor against, but just giving you perspective that, there may be one-off instances where this could be beneficial or not, but I do think the heart of the matter and the spirit of this amendment is worthwhile. But giving you what my experience was, and hit the ground running, and it worked very well. But with that, I will leave it. And if there are no other people who wish to speak for or against, I will call the question. Okay. So the proposed amendment to Article 2 of the bylaws, Community Board 11, to require a member to have served on a board a minimum of 12 months to be candidate for an officer position. And keeping in mind for clarification that this would not apply to people who have previously served, because they have already met that requirement. And Jason Villanueva. Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Wait, you're opposed? Any other opposition? Derek Stampone is opposed. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next item.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, next item 41. If you go to our bylaws, Article 3, Section A, subsection 1, it lists the officers of the board. As it currently stands, we have an assistant secretary and assistant treasurer role. The committee would like to have a revision where we eliminate the assistant roles, the assistant secretary and assistant treasurer roles. And our rationale was this, right? I think those roles have been at our board for a very long time. They've been vacant for a long time. They're not clearly defined. And they haven't really meaningfully contributed to the work of our officers. And so given our desire to streamline the number of officers we have and the roles the officers have, we felt like they were extra roles that didn't really add to the work of the board. And one more point, I think, there've been some things said about these being pipelines to leadership. And at least as in the brief time I've been here and in recent history in the board, those roles haven't been pipelines to leadership.
Okay. Are those that wish to speak for or against the recommendation? Jessica Morris, rise and come to the mic.
I know. We're all hungry and tired. The only, I was both for and against. I believe in redundancy, that these positions were here for a reason to prevent a lapse. That's why they are embedded in our governing documents. At the same time, the reason we have vice chairs in case the chair is not there, that the redundancy is built in. Is it built in well enough with 4 positions as opposed to 6? And I think what I came around to was yes. So I'm in favor of the amendment.
Okay. Any other members who wish to speak for or against the revision? Nye, you have a point of clarification. Please come to the mic. Huh? Yep. And Michelle. Okay.
She was faster.
Just a point of clarification, we've had vacancies in these leadership positions in the past, which was why there was the redundancy, at least when I was previously on the board. So I'm just curious if there was any discussion about how vacancies could be filled. So an example, secretary becoming interim treasurer and how these positions can be shared so that we are never without those leadership positions and executive offices positions being filled. Thank you.
So, Dem, correct me if I'm wrong. We did have a discussion about how to fill things quickly. I think the problem is that, as we probably see, we don't often have special elections with our board, and it's a big logistical hurdle to get those things together to make it happen. And so, the work of the board has to continue somehow. And in the absence of a quick way to, to say fill an assistant secretary or assistant treasurer, I think we want to still streamline our operation and make sure that the board has a choice, right? The board always has an opportunity to vote on those roles, to vote on those positions, that it's not kind of an appointment or a closed door process or something like that. And again, please add anything I'm forgetting.
Yeah, we haven't had a treasurer for months either. And the board and the board's been operating fine. I'm not gonna speak badly to anyone who has been a treasurer, but I think Angel, I mean, I don't want to say anything, but he really does the job. So the idea was that even if there were vacancies, the redundancies are kind of built into our staff as well. And there is nothing from stopping us from having a special election at any full board meeting, should we want to.
And
As these assistantships are removed in the event of a vacancy, is it that the staff fills the gap, or is it that another member of the executive office fills the gap now that before a special election happens though, right? Because before you have to call a special election, have a special election. So what I'm asking is, if tomorrow there's no vice chair, what is the plan of action is all I'm trying to understand before we take the vote.
we would go to a special election being triggered right away. In that absence, so depending on what the role is, the officers would help fill that gap.
Okay, just because
Yeah.
it takes time in our bylaws to do the special election, which has its whole process. So I'm just trying to understand.
We're going to engage in tonight.
Yeah, which is why I'm just asking. So it's been X number of days. What's the plan? That's all.
Sure, and I guess I can speak as a matter of what the bylaws say, right? And I think the special election procedure, I think, especially for a position that takes on a bigger portfolio of things, like, and I'm not saying one is more important or less important, but for a role that takes on a lot of work, like the chair suddenly can no longer be the chair, I think we can put that in place. But I think my point was more so, it's difficult for us logistically to have, a special election for assistant treasurer and then assistant secretary and so on and so forth, right? And like, if there is a more centralized executive or officer or group of officers, it makes that process a bit easier on all of us.
Thank you.
That answers your question.
Michelle.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I have visited the bylaws committee each time that y'all have, and argued that an assistant secretary and an assistant treasurer would be helpful, because that is like having two arms, two legs. We are redundant in many ways on purpose. However, I have come around because it has been noted that we will and we can survive without the assistant secretary and the assistant treasurer. However, it was a way for me to find out I could do more within the system. I'm putting them both out there.
Okay. Sage and then Nilsson. You rise in favor or against? Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
Cool. I'm not sure if I guess I'm in favor of this, as a member of the committee. But just a further response to Nai's question. I think right now the bylaws already set out a process, that we just have not followed. And so another thing that we are considering and we have discussed on the bylaws committee is setting in motion some process, to make sure that the bylaws are enforced. And I think the best idea we have right now is to have this transition what is currently the board oversight committee, or sorry, the office oversight committee, into a board oversight committee that is just responsible for making sure that the bylaws are followed, because we should have had, regardless of what happens to the assistant positions, we should have had the a special election to fill the treasurer position a long time ago, and we just haven't.
Nilsson. All right, Adam, you want to speak?
If a vice chair were not around to do their duties, who would step in for a vice chair?
No one, there's no succession.
Okay, so we don't have an assistant vice chair, which is, I think, a more important role than treasurer secretary, and we've been fine. So I think that could answer a lot of concerns. We don't have an assistant position for the second most important position on this board.
Other boards have a first and second. That's their succession plan. So Nilsa, Asher, and then Jess. Or Jeff, go ahead, Jess. Yeah, Jeff, go.
No, I'm not ready. For everyone's sake of opinion, my opinion is that we should approve this. In the last 6 years being on this board, I don't think that I've seen a truly meaningful contribution from a assistant position. And
those people will count towards quorum at our executive meetings, and that has been an issue. And I agree about the need for a pipeline to leadership. That is something we are missing as a board, and I hope that's something we can continue to work on.
Okay, Nelson.
Thank you, everyone, for this discussion. It's a powerful one. Thank you, Nye, for what you've brought up. I will tell you that the assistant positions have never really been developed the way they should have been. And I will tell you that an assistant treasurer needs to help the treasurer. But a treasurer has very specific roles, and the treasurer here does not do really what a treasurer does. The community board gets its funding through the city. The person who handles that budget is the district manager in consultation with the chair. But the district manager is the one that has to answer all questions regarding expenses. Anything that is on that budget, the district manager is the one that has to answer. And I have, as long as I've been on this board, there has never been a question regarding expenses of this board that Angel Muscane couldn't answer. The fact that you haven't realized, you might have realized by name that you didn't have a treasurer position, right? But the fact that you had the knowledge you needed speaks to the fact that we need a treasurer so that we are in compliance. But an assistant treasurer's position is not going to add any more value unless we put back in the Friends of Manhattan Community Board 11, which would be private funding or fundraising, and then that's a different revenue stream. And I speak like this because I do city budgets for the last 25 years. In terms of the assistant secretary, we have been fortunate in that maybe in the last 10 years, we may have had 2 assistant secretaries that moved up to the secretary position. That also is a redundant kind of position because the secretary is usually here for the meetings. And if there's a problem where the chair can't have a meeting, can't do the meeting, and the vice chair can't do the meeting, then the next person to step us is the secretary. So the secretary is an important position. Other boards do not have these assistant positions. They have first vice chair, second vice chair, third vice chair, right? So depending on where the board wants to go in the future, with everybody giving in their opinions and coming up with the community board bylaws committee is always going to be here, right? And it will be reenacted as it's needed. So I am in favor for not having those positions because they've affected our quorum. And there's nothing worse when you're looking at a YouTube meeting that you have 6 elected officials that are supposed to be, and only 3 are on the dais or 4 on the dais. Because then that shows a disinvestment for people who ran for a position, was elected, and because of life and their experiences and what they have to do, they weren't able to carry out the job and didn't want to say, you know, I resigned because they didn't want to look like they were quitters. So I'm just saying that because that has been my experience as well.
Okay, Asher Rodriguez.
All right. I'm gonna straight up say it because no one else is saying it. I don't know why this is still a debate. There's no reason why this should still be a debate. We could barely maintain the regular positions that we have currently. We're focused on the wrong things right now. These positions have not been used effectively. We have a turnover rate that's insane. So it affects quorum. It's not being used. So there's no point in having them. That's all I have to say about this.
Okay. Seeing no further debate on the matter, the only thing, thank you very much, Bylaws Committee, and thank you everyone for being respectful in their commentary when you rise for or against it. Again, having been on the board as long, you know, some of us, you know, there were some people who were in those roles that were more productive, but as of late, it has fallen to the wayside. I think it's, you know, thank you for your thoughtful work. We'll leave it at that. So if there's no further debate on the matter, the proposed amendment to Article 3 of the Bylaws Committee Board of Community Board 11 to establish the officers of the board shall consist of the chairperson, a vice chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer. Is there Malik? Okay. But yeah, it's a main motion on the floor. So yeah, when we have a new motion. Thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Hold on. Derek Stampone is opposed. Who else is opposed? Joel Jones, are you opposed or abstain? Any abstentions?
Opposed.
Opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? The motion carries. Okay, next.
Thank you, Chair. And then finally, number 42. This is an amendment, a revision rather, to Article 3, Section B, subsection 1. As it currently reads, it says no member may serve more than 3 consecutive terms in any one office or role for which such member was elected. The proposed change is no member may serve more than 2 consecutive terms in any one office or role for which such member was elected. So as you can imagine, we had heated, passionate debate about this particular item. And we went over a variety of potential solutions, from shortening officer terms to changing election dates. And this is the consensus the committee reached after really grappling with this question. And I think, as everyone's aware, because of the way our board appointments work, they do not align with our elections. So inevitably, at some point, there's a potential possibility where people can be termed out and also elected to office. And so in dealing with this impossible problem, this is the best solution the committee could come up with. But we understand that this is also, can be an item of contention, of debate, of discussion. So we don't want to stop that discussion. We want to let you know that we did truly weigh this and think about this and really consider this last piece. I'm happy to answer any questions. And please go ahead, Odette.
Adam.
Just one other part. So when we had the three consecutive terms, that was before we had board term limits. Now there's 8 years. The idea, I think, from the people who felt like this should be changed was, if you're on for 8 years, we already voted in that you can't run the first year. Essentially, you could serve in the same officer seat for 6 out of 7 years you're on the board. Like, we felt with the term limits, it made sense to reduce it from 3 to 2, because when there was 3, you could basically be on this board for 40 or 50 years, which has happened. So.
Okay, is there any debate on the matter? Nelson?
You should just stand up here.
So as I look around and seeing all of you here, thank you for being here and being part of the board. You all applied because you feel you have something to give the board, your heart, your experience. There's board members here that have been here a very long time, right? But we have to also develop that leadership pipeline, right? That Jessica was saying. I've always thought about leadership pipeline. And so when you have someone in a position, when we didn't have term limits and you can run for 3 terms, you can stay in a position for 6 years. But that also shortens the opportunity for someone else to put their name in and gain that leadership experience. Because everything that we do here, we take back to our private lives, right? And then we take that experience with us. I say this because some of you don't realize that I was the chair before Xavier Santiago. And I ran and I was chair for 4 years, and then COVID hit. And during that time, I made a decision that I had to put my family before another 2 years and not give the board short shrift, right? Because the board represents so many valuable people in this community, and we have a lot of things against us, right? And so 4 years was enough for me to develop the relationships and continue the work that I do. There's nothing about, you can have someone who's in the position of a 3 term that lessen someone else's chances to step up. And they may not be as effective as you think just because they've been in the position a long time. And so that was one of the things that was brought up and talked about to develop that leadership pipeline, so that I will use my last term here to help develop that, right? Whether I'm the chair, the vice chair, whatever my position is, because we can't do any less for our people here. And we can't do any less for our fellow, board members here, because we're a team. And so it's not to exclude someone from having 6 years. It's to ensure that the board is in the best position to continue that leadership and those relationships so that we can continue moving our work forward.
Okay. Jessica Morris.
Real quick on just a reflection on the ethos that the committee took in discussions. There's any number of ways to change things. I think the general approach that we settled into in all of these was, how do you change the least, but continue to define those guardrails that the bylaws are intending to be for the board as it's evolving. So by reducing the term in consideration for term limits, this seemed like a very reasonable kind of light touch to how to adjust to changing context with where the board's at now. So I'm in favor of making this adjustment.
Malik? Yes, you rise in favor or against? And Keoka?
I don't necessarily have anything to say about this. I just wanted to know, did the committee think about adding a piece because of the term limits for a person not to run for office by a certain time before they go off? Like let's just say they got 2 years, they do not actually run, before they're about to, termed out.
Yeah, we did talk about that. It wasn't agreed to. There wasn't a consensus there. But it was discussed. But essentially, what Malik is saying is you could run, win, right? You're supposed to serve a 2-year term, and then you can't. But I did read the bylaws, and we talked about it at the last meeting, and it says an officer shall serve a 2-year term. So I believe that as our bylaws are already written, if you can't serve 2 years, you would not be able to run, because you shall serve 2 years. And my understanding of the word shall is that you're required to do that. So I think it's already in our bylaws that in order to run, you'd have to be able to serve the 2-year term.
Okay, Keoka?
So this is kind of just a question for me, because I understand what everyone is saying, and I get the whole pipeline to leadership, but I don't understand what makes the difference between the 4-year term before 4 years and 6. And the reason I say that is because if it's the years itself, then how does it differentiate? What is the reasoning that it makes a difference? And then for me, I guess I would probably move in favor to allowing it to be the 6, because the 6 years, because what we tend to have in communities as such is that people come and not necessarily have a vested interest in the community and just want to come and have a position and not necessarily have the leadership skills. And so we have somebody that is already in position and can still do that job, then why eliminate that person?
Go ahead, Adam.
I mean, you make a fair point. I think I said it earlier, and I'll repeat it. Essentially, there's only 8 years if you're appointed now. And I think we're trying to say it's to give other people an opportunity. I hear what you're saying about, people coming here and running and winning and then leaving. but the same could be said for people who stay there a long time. I think, you know, the board just considered it, and with the term limits, essentially, I think it comes out to like 85% of your term on the board, you could serve in an officer seat. And then there are other people who are going to be termed out as well, and then they might not have that opportunity to step in and do that leadership position. Because if your term coincides with someone who's essentially the chair the whole time, it didn't really seem to make sense. Although you're making good points. I mean, that's just, I think, was the rationale of the committee.
So
Brief point of information to that point. And, you know, I agree with what Dennis said. It's kind of an impossible situation because I think by our math, there's something in the neighborhood of 8 people who wouldn't be able to run this year, right? If this were to be adopted. And so unfortunately, because of the misalignment between the way appointments happen in our elections, there's just no clean solution without either, you know, some level of change or exclusion on one end or the other end, right? And I think that's the problem that we're dealing with today.
okay, is there further debate or discussion? A question, Nye? You want to state it real quick for this once?
Issue, and if there's been a conversation with the Manhattan President's office or a larger council about addressing that.
I think the first part, every board has this problem. Every board is dealing with it differently. I don't know if there have been conversations with MBPO or I don't know if you know.
I mean, essentially, they can, the term limits were voted in, I believe, by, you know, the voters. I think we're left to do the best that we can, and I believe in collaborating with other boards, but I also think that good ideas can just come from within this board itself too. I think we're a pretty progressive board, and I think we're able to have original good ideas as well as seeing what other people are doing as well. Well, yeah, we don't control that. You know, unfortunately, it's the same issue we have. We have a lot of issues with the borough president's office and the city council being able to do certain things on this board that kind of handcuff us. So these term limits weren't imposed by them. So that's not one example, but you know, there's nothing we can do about it or any other board for that matter. We just have to do the best we can.
Okay.
Just quickly on that point, Angel, correct me if I'm wrong. I think even the time that the appointments happen has changed, right? Which makes an election change impossible or difficult, right? I don't know, right?
All right, so we're in debate. We should be in debating rising for and speaking why we're for or against. If you have a point of clarification, point of information, please state as such. So Sage and then Jess.
I have a point of clarification, and that is that I don't think this proposal, even though I think I'm in favor of it, it does not solve the misalignment problem nine. So I don't think it's true that this even addresses that. I think one thing that would address that would be changing the date of our elections. And while that has sort of been in flux, there are mandated dates that the borough president has to appoint new community board members to. And we could just do elections in June and that would probably solve this. And we have discussed that in the committee, but we have not reached a consensus on it.
Sorry, I just want to clarify something. I just said a few minutes ago that there is a mechanism in place because you have to serve 2 years. It's already written in the bylaws. So this, you're correct, would not address the issue of term alignments, but we already have something in our bylaws that do address that. If you can't serve 2 years, you can't run. That wouldn't matter when our elections would happen or not. So that does, I mean, you could change the election dates. We could discuss that further. There have been reasons why we're against it, reasons why we're for it. I guess there'll be further talk, but technically that solution is already in our bylaws. I know that you weren't asked about that. I just want to make that clear.
Jess?
Just really quick to Naya's point of clarification. Thank you for asking that question. I think it's a really important question that every community board is grappling with right now. I think it's something that we still need to solve for when people start rolling off on a yearly basis because they've served their maximum term limits. It's going to be a problem. And I think that this, what we brought forward today as these 4 amendments to the bylaws are just the beginning of this conversation. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. And to Sage's point, I think that it's important that we hold the Manhattan Borough President's Office accountable for getting people in these vacancies and ready to serve with us at the appropriate time so that we're able to conduct our business efficiently. But thank you to the Bylaws Committee for pushing all this work forward. That's it. And I'm in support of this.
If there's no further debate, I'll kind of give some, do you have, so if there's no further debate, I'll give some yeah, we're moving along. Background information, Executive Committee did vote on this and voted against it. We took a position against it, and it was mainly because we couldn't agree on the term alignments because there's debate, and they had it at the Bylaws Committee about if you do it in June, can you imagine new board members, you having to vote on people who you've just met and you don't know the history, so you're relying on people you speak to. The opposite side of that argument was that if you put it toward when people are cycling off, say in January or December, people saying, oh, people are cycling off are going to be influencing who's going to be on the board. So you became in this, Schrodinger's cat scenario. And you have analysis, paralysis by analysis, right? Doesn't matter. Maybe there's no cat in there in the first place, but we've asked them to do the lift. There was also the debate of like, hey, what happens if one person is shorted a term? It was advised, do a one-off. If everyone's fine, they get a pass, and then you do that. They couldn't make a decision. This is what they came forward with. So I just wanted to give everyone some background. That means Jess and I, we would be term limited out in these roles. Say goodbye at the end of the year. We've done our time. It's okay. We're still going to give back for the remainder of our term and mentor and help, just like Nilsa, Vinny, Carlos, Candy, who's not with us, David's another. We all care. I'm in it, so I just want to give you that background. So the second thing, and again, we have an attorney here. We actually have 2. One of them's missing. Three, yes. Shall, the definition of shall, and the legal definition, meaning, that there's an obligation. Now, is our interpretation correct? We can't really decide that. That's something that has to go to city law, meaning there's an obligation. You have to complete it. It's a debate, not for tonight. We're still going to take a position, but yeah, yes, we'll probably have over drinks. But keep in mind the point, it's an 8-year term. That's what we're coming up against. Now, the ones of us who are cycling off, we actually got the short end of the stick. Like people who Jose and Adem and a few others, because Adem and I spoke about this, like, how is it, you're cycling off sooner? It's just what happened with the city charter revision. And this is why knowledge is power and power is control. I can't tell you enough. You got to pay attention to the misinformation that they push forward with a lot of these charter revisions. It is not, it's like saying the Clean Air Act. Nothing about that act was clean, right? These are the facts. It's all about branding. So I want to remind everyone that these choices, your elections, they all have repercussions. So with that, just that's your background in history. And if there's no further debate, I will, yes. Yeah, we got Asha.
I rise in favor of this amendment. I think a lot of what we heard makes a lot of sense. But one thing I do ask, perhaps we should consider, we can vote on a bylaw change, but also stipulate like when it would start. And given that there is an election this upcoming November, is this something that we want to say doesn't apply for the upcoming election, but would apply after that, just given the compressed time? No, no. So when we vote on a bylaw, we can stipulate when it goes into effect. So yes, we can do that. Not saying whether we should or shouldn't. I'm asking, given the fact that there is an election coming up in a few months.
When we amend our bylaws, per our bylaws, it goes into effect immediately. Once. That is something that could be, it is something, and anything is up for debate, but we'd have to go through the process. It is permissible, yes. And then Nilsa, guys, we're nearly there. Go ahead, Nilsa.
Take that off.
Okay, we're losing, in my opinion, the forest for the trees. Nye brought up a good point. What was the process? The process was looking at other community boards' bylaws. I will tell you, because of my length of time here, that this board and one other, I believe, is the only board that has 3 terms of 2 years each. Other boards have chairs and vice chairs and other leave after 1 year, and the max they might get is 3 years max. And the idea is so that they can cultivate the talent that they have, so that everyone feels confident in putting you're shaking your head right now. Everybody can put their hands in on a title and run and gain confidence, right? Because we all have something to give. The leadership pipeline that we have to develop here for all the reasons that have been said, right? And the fact that we are lucky that we have people like Kioka and Nye and other people here, that we have business owners and we have general folks, right? We all have talents. The idea is that we need someone that I can help within the next year and a half. Because the truth is that I will be coming off April 2027. That's the truth. And people have told me this, you should fight for a charter amendment. It's not about me. It's about how are we going to get this in place so that we can move forward. Other boards were proactive. One board did an election already to do a 1-year term so that then they could fall into the 2-year cycle. We did not anticipate. So now we have to come up with, should we have another election where 2 of your offices potentially will cycle off after a year and a half? And where is the leadership, right, that we're going to use to cultivate the next chair? Because then you're going to have to do special elections, because after a year and a half, you're going to hit that threshold where you're not going to have people in positions. I was told I should run for treasurer with my expertise. I was told I should run again for chair since I didn't do 1 extra term. That's not going to help resolve what we need here. If we have people who run and can serve the full 2 years, then we, as seasoned board members and seasoned board members here, can help bring that along. So I don't know what you all may decide may be the best thing, but I'm looking at it in terms of numbers and where this board has to go. The relationships are still here. We will continue to cultivate relationships regardless of what our position is.
Thank you, Nelson. We have to make our way out of here by 9:30. So yes, I just got notified about that.
Save your time.
Yes, Michelle.
I've had my hand up for a while,
Oh,
Xavier.
Asher, thank you. Asher, your comment, and then we're gonna call the question.
All right, thank you. I am sorry, I sounded really aggressive. I am for this just because of the fact, like Nosa said, we don't want the same. It's nothing against any of the people who are in power, but the discussion was, and what we have been discussing at executive in length is, how are we preparing the next people to have the opportunity to rise up into leadership, and also preparing for when people leave, because we don't want to get caught when people leave and no one's ready to be leaders. So yeah, that's mostly what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, there. All right, there's a proposed amendment to Article 3 of the bylaws of Community Board 11 to establish that the offices of the board shall consist of the chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. Michelle?
It's the one, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Proposed amendment to Article 3 of the bylaws of Community Board 11 to establish no member may serve more than 2 consecutive terms in any one officer role for which such member was elected. Michelle? Okay, Michelle rises to support the committee's recommendation. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Opposed.
Any abstentions?
Opposed, Dawn Sanders.
Yeah. So Dawn Sanders has.
And Jewel Jones opposed.
Jewel Jones opposes. Kyoko opposes. Rosa opposes. Any other opposition? Abstentions? Kenneth Crouch. And I abstain. Kenneth Crouch. The motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Okay. Next, we have special elections for board treasurer. We have John Green. Isaac Scott is not here. I'm passing this off to Nilsa Rama, our elections chair.
Good luck. All right.
Come on, let's go,
We're
let's
in a
go.
hurry. Nelson.
It's 9:20, mami, apúrate. Está finicha.
Thank you.
Officers step down. I'll remember the.
Can you all hear me? Yeah. Happy David.
So one of the things we were talking about today was the fact that we've had a position open for quite a few months. We haven't had, we haven't felt any differences because our Angel Muscane, our district manager, gives us regular reports. However, to comply with the bylaws, I'm serving again as the chair of the elections committee and my other crew is not here. I am opening it up to give the opportunity for a nomination for a treasurer. This treasurer would be in place starting tomorrow to, one moment, sir, tomorrow to December 2025. To give you the full background, in September, our current chair, Xavier Santiago, will announce a nominating committee for the new elections. Those elections will happen in November of 2025. The position that you may potentially fill today, you will have to renominate someone again in October because the committee gets appointed in September. In October, the floor is open for nominations. And then in November, we all vote. So I am asking, I'm calling the question as to whether there's a nominee for treasurer for the next 6 months. If there is no nominee, then this question will again be opened up in September. Okay, so I'm gonna say it now with less words because now it's probably 9:25. We have an open position for treasurer starting tomorrow until December 31st, 2025, 5 months. Whoever gets elected tonight can put their name in again in September for another election cycle that will happen in November. Okay. Okay, so Derek Stampone, wait, let me do my nominating statement here. Hold on. So,
Everyone, if you could please stay quiet while we run this election, we can get out of here quickly.
You have a question?
Is there any other nominees for treasurer? You're not able to. Okay. Does the 12 months apply or doesn't apply? The 12 doesn't apply. This.
Hi.
Are there any more nominees? If not, I'm going to call the vote.
Call it.
Mr. Martinez. All right. So we have two people, that's it?
Yep.
That's enough?
Yep.
Yeah, for the next 6 months? Okay, so I'm going to.
Nelson, you might want to speak in the mic.
Vote. Okay.
Nelson.
Nelson, the
can you speak
mic.
in the mic.
Oh,
For the people online.
yeah, please.
Please listen for your name, and you will tell me whether you're voting for Derek or you are voting for Anne Marie Vasquez, okay? All right. Jose Altamirano. Okay. Yes. Right. Keoka.
Guys.
Keoka, they're not
Maintain.
gonna jump you over a 5-month
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
They made for a 2-year term, but not for 6 months. Okay. Fernando Alvarez. Okay. Marcel Bondima. Adem Brija. Marie Charles. Leslie Colon. Kenneth Crouch. Carlos Diaz. Rosa Diaz. We have to continue with the vote. This is a public record. Rosa Diaz. Jessica Elliott.
Derek.
David Giordano. Ada Gazeri. James Gray. Anne Marie? John Green.
Anne Marie.
Chancellor Gregg. Pascal Hanou. Wanda Hopkins.
Anne Marie.
Keoka Jackson. I swear, I got your back. Christina Johnson. Is she here?
No.
Jewel Jones.
Derek.
Derek. James Kemp. Sage Mason.
Derek.
Malik McCullough.
Derek.
Robert McGinty. Robin McGinty, I'm so sorry. Not here? Okay. Jennifer Mayer. Jessica Morris. What? Just vote. Jessica, what's your vote? Haywood Moulton.
It's not here.
Nilsa Rama, Derek. Beverly Pabon. Samantha Pedier, I'm sorry, my lisp. Pediero. Anne Marie, okay. Carlin Percy. Tanya Phelps. Marina Phillips. Valerie Ponte. Asha Rodriguez. Oh. Dawn Sanders. Dawn Sanders.
I'm so sorry. Anne Marie.
Xavier Santiago. Janelle Satija. I'm sorry I butchered your name. Janelle? Okay. Isaac Scott.
Not here.
Russell Schuller. He didn't join. Loretta So. Abstain? Okay. Derek Stampone.
Derek.
Sorry. Vincent Torres. You're gonna have to help me at this up. Anne Marie. I gotta ask. Jason Villanueva. Candy Vives Vasquez. Nye Whitaker. Agatha White. Candy unmuted. Michelle Wiltshire Clements. Jason Wu. Okay, so what's that?
Andy.
Is she on? Candy?
Anne Marie.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Guys, we still have some business on the agenda.
Board members, we still have a few more agenda items and we got to get out of here. So I need us to move rapidly. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I got. Well, it was a close race, neck and neck. That's what I like to see. Derek Stampone got 19 votes. Anne Marie Vasquez got 16 votes, very close, with 2 abstentions. Loretta So, thank you for being honest, and Nye Whitaker. Right, so for the next, starting tomorrow, you will be the treasurer. And then in September, a new nominations committee will be taking nominations in October for chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And that's it, because I know we got to go home. So I'm going to put back this pen and I'm going to get this stuff.
Okay, next up, we have under new business. Thank you very much. Nilsa, number 44 Magic Fest, 876973 street event for September 14th. Setup is at 10 a.m., breakdown 5:30 p.m. at East 100th Street between Park and Lexington Avenue. It's a full street closure. Applicant is Maggie's Magic Garden, Uptown Grand Central. They've delivered all their materials, correct, Angel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second, pending that they have provided all the materials, Adem Briha moves to support the number 44 Maggie's Magic Fest. Is there a second? Carlos Diaz seconds. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? The motion carries. Next, we have number 45 is a back to school event with Dr. Christy De La Cruz. Although it's for September, but it just got in, just want to give her a quick moment if she's still on.
I am. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Oh,
Oh, she's not on. Oh, there.
I am on. I
She's
am
here.
on.
We just found out about it. However, I just wanted to acknowledge her, even though it happens later in the month of September. So we will be able to vote on it in September. I just wanted to recognize Dr. Christy De La Cruz real quick.
I think she left.
No, Dr. Christy?
Yes, I'm on, but I don't think you can hear me.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Yeah, no, we put in the permit number. It is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for setup and breakdown. This is our annual event where we have all of our schools and CBOs for tabling. Yeah, and so yes, it'll be, just wanted to make sure that we made it in for the September 27th. It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
thank you.
So Dr. De La Cruz, we'll be able to definitely get this approved in September. Just,
All right,
yeah,
perfect.
because we need to make sure we have all the materials.
Yes.
And just wanted to validate you being here with us.
Oh,
So just
thank
make
you,
sure it all
thank you.
gets,
Yep.
I know you always try to be front and center. So thank you for your service.
Thank
And
you.
we'll get it on our license permits for September. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The other item of new business that we have is the Mexican Independence Day celebration. We have the applicant who came. It was dealt with in July. I'm going to bring up Anne-Marie and Adem real quick. Just brief, super brief background. Oh, Anne-Marie.
So, what was it that he told me? May, so this applicant came in May for this event and we denied because of a previous, what was it? Tell them that part and then.
I mean, without getting into too much detail, there was a applicant the year before who said that they would not apply for this event anymore. They came, I believe, in April. We denied them. There was reason to believe this applicant that came in May was working with this other applicant. And so for that reason, based on that suspicion, there was no facts to it, but there was enough reasons to believe that. We denied that applicant as well. But that applicant is back here tonight, I guess, to be reconsidered. As far as I'm aware, they've already submitted everything to SAPO, the Street Activity Permit Office. I believe I was informed on good authority that they're probably going to get this anyway. So I think, and I could be wrong, that it's just optics at this point, that they would like the support of the board. But just so you're all aware, the committee and the board already took a position to deny this, I believe, back in May. And now the applicant's here.
Applicant, I'd like to invite the applicant up to say a few words about that.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Manuel Guerrero, and I represent the Mexican American Political Committee, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on encouraging Mexican Americans to register to vote and participate civically. We are about 2,000 Americans in the city. Yes, the permit was denied based on I was suspicious of representing another organization, but it's not accurate. So as I have proven, and I'm here before the board to reconsider my applications since the misunderstanding already was clarified. That's basically all. So I would appreciate if you can reconsider my application.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? We have from the Candy, your question.
Yes, are you working with the merchants on that in the block? Are you working with them and that they're not gonna have a problem with the activity?
I submit about 30 signatures, most of them from the merchants along the street. So they support it.
No, I mean the store merchants, the ones that have existing business right there that they're not gonna be affected.
They support it. They signed. I submit about 30 signatures.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah.
That's September 14th, which is a Sunday. It is a civic.
Yeah, Mexican Independence Day.
Yes, we're
And
working along with the Mexican consulate and other in the community in East Harlem.
Jose?
Doesn't mean that they don't go to support, but we do consider this. I would like it to be conditional that we meet with the association, because it does consist of practically every business on one, and I'm on 116.
Are you from El Barrio? I went to your business, but I couldn't find you.
Now, everyone on that block, both sides of the block, and recently.
Louder.
I'm not the closest, so-
So, as you know, I'm on that block. My business is there and I know every business on there, so I would just like that. There is an association there and they're trying to make changes, and I would like, if we are going to reconsider this, that it be conditional that he meets with this association, because they do have needs as a group. Currently, and not against this particular closing, but there has been way too many street closings there and it is affecting the businesses. This is obviously something they would be in favor of. But they do want to meet and make sure that certain things are met within their threshold. One of the biggest complaints is that on the north side of the street, they put barriers, which apparently makes it cheaper for insurance purposes. But then it does separate any business that's on the north side of the street from the festival itself. It doesn't allow a cohesion. So that would be the request that I would have if we do reconsider this in a favorable position.
Okay. Nai, come on up. Yeah, I'm just getting her up here. Go ahead and answer, please. Can you answer, please?
Yes, I know it's getting late. I'm gonna be I know it's getting late. I'm gonna be very brief. I know the community very well. I've been living there in the East Harlem in the last 28 years. Actually, I'm a co-founder of the festival. I visited your shop, but you were not there. Was aware of your leadership in the community board. I have met with Jackie. We, like I said, all of them signed it, and I'm happy to sit down with them. Yes, I'm happy to sit down with the
business association.
Actually, I'm being encouraged for the since the foundation of the festival, it was due to the business, like the comics and all the business that is still there in the last.
So
years.
so
Yes.
the answer to the question is yes, he's
Yes.
willing to meet with the business association. Nai Whitaker, your question.
Say I was very surprised to see you here. I just wanted to say that I have, in his other capacity, worked with you for years. I don't know if you're allowed to say what your other job is. He works at RWDSU, and this is one of the hardest organizers that I've met in my life in the Mexican American community. And considering what's going on in our immigrant community, I would just like to ask personally, as a board member and a resident of East Harlem for 50 years, for us to find a way to support getting this community active, because I know that they are in hiding and I know that they're in pain. And so whatever we can do as a community board to welcome participation of them in our political process, in our community engagement, so that they can have a say, I think would be a very good thing for the heart and soul of this community. And I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Thank you, Nai, for that perspective. Okay. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion from this body to support a provisional, conditional. Yes. So Jose? No, so go ahead and state the motion, please. Okay, so September. Okay, so there is a motion made by Dem Brija to make a conditional approval, so long as Manny Guerrero meets with the Business Association on 116th Street to support this Mexican Independence Day for September 14th. And there's a second. Second, Michelle. Yeah, second, Michelle. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. And the last thing,
Thank you.
you don't want to bring up Bodega Paradise? Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and, oh, yeah. Yes, yes. Second to last thing. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Guys,
Okay, yeah, in September, I believe, we denied a establishment for a liquor license called Bodega Paradise. Originally, it was because they're a new business and they wanted to close at 4 AM. We asked them to close earlier than that, at least for the first couple of years. Since that's happened, it's come to our attention from our city council person and others that it's essentially a strip club. That was not what was presented to us. So they were, I believe, told by the SLA to resubmit what would accurately identify their business to the board. I don't know if we have to take a position, but I strongly encourage that we do. Whether or not they're now telling us the truth is one, irrelevant, and two, I don't know if we want a business like that here, but I'll leave it up to you guys. But I do think we should take a strong position and not just send that to the SLA, but tell them exactly why, because they need to start listening to what we say and being held accountable.
thank you. Okay, so next. Okay, your question, and then Michelle. Because
Yeah,
we're moving on to
I-
announcements, yeah.
Now, I just have a question about the Bodega Paradise. I walked past there. I've never been inside. Why do we think? What? Why do we think it's a strip club?
I believe, well, the evidence is their Instagram account. If you, okay, yeah, I'm happy to share that with anyone, but it's public. And I said essentially a strip club from what I've seen. It's bartenders in very skimpy bikinis, but you know, I think it goes more than that, so.
Go ahead,
So-
Jose.
So I did a walkthrough with the 2.5 after this was brought up by Diana Ayala's office, our council person. So we walked through the whole thing. It's definitely a strip club. There are poles, there's lockers, rooms, it's what it is. All right, Angel was there as well. You know, so, you know, obviously, they were presenting this as a, so
Guys,
we went with
please,
the 2.5
please.
before their grand opening. And they were presenting this as a herbal juice
And like a little.
pizza lounge. And then when this was brought up, we went in, we did the walkthrough. The 2.5 obviously was completely against this. And they told them that they were going to have, you know, police cars right in front. There would be no, there's a term, basically no, there's a term that they use where basically there's no courtesy. Anything that they see wrong, they're going to enforce on. And since then, they've obviously had to change how they've done things, but it still continues. If you see their Instagram page, you know, it's not. He owns other strip clubs, yes. He owns strip clubs in other boroughs.
Now, all right, guys, so is this something we need to take a position on tonight? All right, then good. Then I will entertain, no, I just didn't, because they just reposted. So I will entertain a motion now. Go ahead. Second, all right, motion nine, Bodega Paradise's application for a liquor license. Is there a second, Jose? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. All right, with that, we will now call the roll. Oh, wait, sorry, guys, apologies, a little tired. Michelle, announcements.
Not an announcement, but a reality. On East 116th Street on July the 24th, it was stripped of the tar, and they used the machine to take up the road without the addition of placing water on the road. So it excruciated all of this dust and whatnot within the atmosphere. I could not go up there personally because I would probably pass out and die and end up in the hospital. A committee member, Sage Mason, who lives on that area, and as well as my co-chair, who works in that area, experienced what they should not have experienced. Sage contacted the DOT, who is Rafael Escano, who responded, and we asked him to respond with more details and an apology to what should not have happened, which does not happen in other areas, like on 97th Street, but it happened further within our community. This is unacceptable. The letter has not come as yet, and this was on July the 24th. They had time to respond. This was just an FYI. Would you like to add anything further?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So,
Excuse me, Xavier?
yeah, yes, John, you have an
Yes,
announcement.
not an announcement. I just want to thank you for all you did for me when I was in the hospital back in June. That's all I really wanted to say. I truly appreciate it.
You're welcome, John. That's what makes a community. You didn't have to. Thank you. I appreciate that. Another announcement, please, David.
Y'all can go to ehcfgg.info. I have a reading and math challenge going on for K to 12th graders up until August 21st. So they do some reading and some math. They get a pizza party. September 11th is starting ballot proposals because they will be on the November ballot. So come to the club meeting to learn about the ballot proposals that's going to be on our ballot so we can educate our community. Tamika Map, District Leader, Part D. Thank you. Tamika Map.
Okay, very quick, because we don't meet in August. August 14th, we have the youth carnival fair that we have for the last few years, sponsored by our councilwoman. And it's going to be a great day. It's open for all youth. There'll be CBOs out there giving information. We have blow-ups, we have music, we have youth performances, a lot of information, a lot of free giveaways, pizza and everything. So come out, enjoy with our youth from 12 to 4 on August 14th. Thank you. 106th Street, right outside White Park. So they open up the whole block. We'll have big blow up of rock climbing, mountain, and all those youth performances.
Good stuff. Thank you, David. Rosa has one announcement.
Last announcement, I promise, the Environment Open Space Committee, we're doing the park store. It has been sent in the newsletter several times. We are going to meet on August the 9th. The first stop will be Ronald McNair Playground, which is in 167 East 122nd Street, because the other playground is under renovation, just in case. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more announcements, let's call the roll. Didn't get.
Okay, listen for your names, please. Jose Altamirano, Fernando Alvarez, Marcel Bondima, Adem Brija, Marie Charles, Leslie Colon, thank you. Kenneth Crouch, thank you. Carlos Diaz, thank you. Rosa Diaz is myself. Jessica Elliott, David Giordano, Ara Geseri, James Gray, John Green,
Gone.
Chancellor Greg, absent. Pascal Hanu, Wanda Hopkins,
Here.
Kioka Jackson, Christina Johnson, absent. Jewel Jones, here. James Kim, Sage Mason, Malik McCullough, Robin McGinty, Jennifer Mayer, Jessica Morris. Ooh, ouch. Hayward Montu, Neil Sawarama, Beverly Pavon, Samantha Pedreiro, Carlene Percy, Tanya Phelps, thank you. Marina Phillips, Valerie Ponti, Asher Rodriguez, okay. Dawn Sanders,
Here.
Thank you. Xavier Santiago,
Present.
Janelle Satija, absent. Isaac Scott, absent. Russell Schuler, absent. Loretta So. Thank you. Derek Stampone, Vincent Torres, Anne Marie Vasquez, Jason Villanueva, Candy Biz Vasquez,
Here.
Nye Whitaker, Agatha White, Michelle Wilshire Clement, Jason Wu. I don't know about this. Thank you.
We are concluded. Enjoy the rest of your summer.